Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Queen's event. Lovely to have you all on the platform. I'll do a bit of housekeeping, what I say every week. Please have your pens and pads, notebooks ready, to take notes, because when you come on this platform, it's a wealth of information. Please post any questions into the chat, and my wonderful co-host Nadia from the Black Help Group will be monitoring the chat and we'll pick them up at the end. And we're also going to have a Q&A at the end. Yeah, so any questions you want to ask specifically to our presenters. Could I get Rudy to mute the mics, please? Because I can hear a bit of background noise. And if you please post, save any questions you would like to ask the presenters to the end. You'll have an opportunity then. So again, welcome, good morning. Wonderful to see so many of you on the platform early Saturday morning. It's amazing, fantastic. Welcome, good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome back to the Queens and Kings, because the first part of this Zoom is dedicated to our kings, to our men that we love so much, and we want them to have a joyful, healthy, good life along with us. So you've been enjoying the Queen series, but first of all, let me talk to you about why I'm Zooming. So we are predominantly a walking group based in South East London, and when Boris said that only one person could meet with another person to exercise, we had to stop walking. So I had to learn to Zoom pretty quick. So we've been Zooming for about 10 weeks since last November, I think. And we've had a phenomenal session. So wherever you are in the world, I just want to really thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on this fantastic platform. So what have we done so far? We've done the Queens, Black Hair Rocks. We've done Queens, We Ain't Crazy, It's Only the Menopause. We've done Queens, Breaking the Silence. Let's talk about mental health. We've done Queens, Stop Eating the Fridge. Let's talk about diet and lifestyle. We've had a couple of Black business events. We've done Queens, Young, Gifted and Black, which was a Zoom dedicated to our young people and organisations within the community that can support parents and young people. So we've done quite a few different Zooms. So when I was considering what to do this week, I thought, wow, Valentine's weekend, I couldn't not miss the opportunity to do a Zoom in regards to love, sex, and relationships. Yeah. And what I will say, this Zoom is going to be split into 2 sessions. So the first part, now we're going to have Joe Dash, a spin-off from doing the Queen's Stop Eating the Fridge series. We're actually on a 30-day intermittent fasting challenge now, and it's a group of 60 of us. And if I say to you, guess how many men are in our wonderful, powerful group? Guess. Put it in the chat. Yes? I'm going to have a quick look. Guess. Let's see if anybody's put anything in the chat. Oh, and they're very generous. 3, 2, well, if I just say to you, there's one man, one king, yeah, with us women. Now, come on. Yeah, come on, what's going on? Yeah, so this first part of this session, we've got Joe Dash, the king of intermittent fasting, is going to do a quick 10-15 minute talk about intermittent fasting. We're going to be starting it again on the 1st of March, but we really want to encourage the men to come on board. We're also looking for couples, because if the wife or the girlfriend says, come on, we're doing it, they're doing it. No argument. Yeah. So, it's really important. I'm always talking about, our health and well-being. Our Zooms have been in one way or another tailored to health and well-being. Yeah. I'm going to quickly tell you about some Zooms we've got coming up. Next week, we've got a session of fibroids, endometriosis and polycystic ovaries. And we've actually got a part 1 and part 2 because I had so many presenters come and say, we want to talk about this area, especially the fibroids, because so many of our Black women are suffering with this particular illness. We did Queens on Fire last week, which was phenomenal. Speakers were on point. Yeah, we're going to have another Black business event, which is going to be at the end of the month, and that'll be really kind of like a children's Zoom. So we'll have specialists in children's areas. We'll have a couple of Black business stalls, and we're going to be doing another Young, Gifted and Black. So that's kind of like, you know, a lot of the housekeeping Zooms that are going to be coming up. So to hear about future Queen walking groups, exciting Zooms, please follow us on Eventbrite. This Zoom is being recorded for upload onto YouTube. So please check out our YouTube channel, like, follow, subscribe, comment. Yeah. So without no further ado, please have your pens and pads and paper and notebooks ready for some life-changing information for you to take away to make that change. It's all about our health, and our health matters. So, Jo, are you on board, my dear? Are you there, my darling? Let's get you up. So, Jo, are you ready to begin the session, please, on intermittent fasting? Then we can have a quick Q&A, then we can move into the second part of the session.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, John. Thank you for having me. Some of you are familiar with me and my work. For those of you who are not, I'm an intermittent fasting specialist. I'm an author, public speaker, and educator. My focus of my science is based on people of color and what makes us who we are, how to keep us healthy mentally, emotionally, and physically. So my challenge dives into the mental, emotional, and physical transformation through my studies of nutritional psychiatry, understanding how the brain works when it comes to food, and why being healthy is a three-part situation. It is mental, it is emotional, and it is physical. That is health. And in the spirit of the theme today, why it's important for people, whether you're single or in a relationship, to be healthy is because it affects how you communicate, how you think, and how you feel. So it's important, number one, to be healthy in yourself. That's the first thing. You got to be healthy. The World Health Organization breaks down health as something that is physical, the absence of disease, and also mentally being able to cope with the daily demands of life, and emotionally how you react to other people and yourself. That is the holistic totalism of health. So my program is designed to kind of tackle those issues and find out why you emotional eat, why you comfort eat, where is it stemming from? Is its roots in childhood? Is it roots on how you perceive yourself? Because when we look at intermittent fasting, it is the framework in which you allow your body to communicate with nature. You see, it is our unhealthy lifestyle in the West that brings disease, because the Westernized diet is very poisonous. It's high in sugar, sodium, and bad fats. So that's why things like cardiovascular disease, respiratory disease are rampant in our community. But another part that's never really discussed is behavioral mechanisms and how food influences behavior, right? So there's a socio-economical factor. Growing up in East London, I had no access to proper quality of food in the 90s. So we had markets, fish and chip shops, all cheap food, cheap and fast food. So we grew up conditioned that cheap and fast food is a daily thing. To snack all the time or eat constantly is a normal thing, when in fact it is not. So what we want to do is try to educate people on how to tap into that emotional eating and find out, why do triggers make you eat? Because we all know that when we have emotional triggers, we might eat something and then feel like crap 5 minutes afterwards, because that is exactly what happens. Because when people are emotional eating, they don't reach for a salad, they don't reach for something healthy, they reach for the most greasiest, sweetest thing they can find. And then that gives them a certain level of comfort. But bear in mind, that comfort is coming from a lacking of something. So being healthy is important for the relationship with yourself and being in a relationship with somebody else. Healthy living is key part of that success. So how you communicate, remember, these are all hormones, right? When you're in love, it is a hormone. When you're angry, it is a hormone situation. When you have empathy, compassion, these are all hormone and biochemical situations as well. Yes, we focus on the social aspect of it, how you feel when you're triggered, or how do you feel when you're in love? How do you communicate with somebody? We look at the psychological aspect of it, but we fail to understand the biochemical aspects of how we live on a day-to-day basis. An example of that is you have serotonin, which is a mood hormone, right? It is made, 97% of it is made in the gut. Now, serotonin is a neurotransmitter, right? And it's made in the gut. Now, what you eat influences how you think. What you eat influences how you think. And also what you eat, your body has to pull new cells, new tissue from the food you are eating, right? So now food influences thought. So what does that mean on a day-to-day basis? If you're in a relationship with someone, for example, and you guys eat whatever, no one cares about what really they're eating. There's an underlying factor there of how you guys are going to interact with each other based on the way you live and how you eat. Because we don't look at food from a biocolonialism factor. See, food is also a form of biocolonialism because you can pump specific foods into different groups and affect the way they behave towards each other, because this is a hormone chemical. So serotonin being a neurotransmitter, when you eat something, right, it is processed, it's broken down in the mouth first, then into the stomach, then it is absorbed through the intestines. Now, if you eat fast food, high glycemic foods, so high foods in sodium, you affect the serotonin, which is the neurotransmitter. Now, a neurotransmitter is something that is relaying messages. So if you relay a message from your gut to your brain through the vagus nerve, it will determine whether or not if you're going to be aggressive, if you can have the compassion for someone, if you can communicate properly. It's all about how your hormones are. So that serotonin sends messages to your brain of how to feel. So if the quality of food you're having or the lifestyle, you don't exercise, you don't meditate, you don't eat clean food, you don't drink a lot of water, the body goes to a state where the neurotransmitting system is disrupted by the things you put in your body. You see, when you're younger, this is why in developmental nutrition, we say to parents, don't dump sugar into your children because it makes them lose focus. It messes up with their cognitive function in school. So they can't sit still in school. And what do we do when the teacher calls us and our children is sitting still in school? We get vexed, right? We get vexed. What's wrong with you? Why are you behaving like this? But because they pump with sugar. you pump an adult with sugar, he's going to be agitated or she's going to be agitated. There's too much sugar in the blood, right? Which sends your dopamine high, and then you crash, right? A lot of women can relate to emotional eating or comfort eating. Now, if you're in a relationship with someone and you feel down or there's an issue, it is hard sometimes to kind of gauge and understand each other in that factor. You don't really quite know, especially if the communication levels are not on 1000, because communicating is a skill on its own. It's a science to communicate. But first, communicating with yourself clearly and efficiently, is also a key factor. So healthy living encompasses all of that. And that's very important. So on the challenge, what we also look at is how what you eat says a lot about what's in your mind and what you're thinking. Because remember, food has been something that we've been conditioned to eat in a certain way, like eating 3 times a day, when we were told that breakfast was the most important meal of our day, or things like when dairy gives you calcium. All these social norms that we've come to believe, all these social values a lot of them are not based in real science. They're just based from marketing companies who said you should eat this and have your 5 a day, and this is part of your 5 a day. But or when they talk about steps, or I got my 10,000 steps in, those things were used to actually make sure that you were being active and moving on your feet, but does not equate to proper exercise, right? When you exercise, or when you're intermittent fasting, something key you spark in your brain is called a brain-derived neurofactor, or BDNF. Brain-derived neurofactors are brilliant for cognitive function, for memory, for mood regulating hormones, dopamine effect, because if you feel good, your brain logs it and looks for repetitiveness on that feel-good hormone, right? So people will go into food to comfort eat to get that feel-good hormone. Now, for men, what men need to understand as well, 1 in 4, I think the statistic is 1 in 4 Black men with prostate cancer. Now, that's a staggering statistic. So it means that when you've been eating for years, the food is either creating disease or healing disease. Everything you put in your mouth is either creating disease or it's healing you from a disease, right? So I realized for me, when me and my partner started eating healthy and exercising and doing all these things, not only did it influence how we reacted to ourselves, it influenced how we reacted to each other. Because that mood balance is key. If your mood is off, communication, being able to see things from the other person's side, perspective, all of that is altered. So having a hormonal balance is important. Having a mental balance is important, because you have hormones in you through years of habit that change the way you communicate, change the way you hear people communicating to you, change the way you perceive yourself. If you have enough confidence, if you don't have enough confidence, the way we deal with food has a massive impact on that. And even when you have children, you pass on the genetic markers for nutrition, and how they live will determine whether or not they switch on that gene or not. So people say, you know, diabetes runs in my family, or high blood pressure runs in my family, or cholesterol runs in my family, and you know that's why I have it. But it's less hereditary and more about dietary, because I have cardiovascular disease is a massive thing in my family. But how I've been living, I've always been active, been into sports, played basketball, everything else like that. I've always been very, very active and a slightly picky eater. So I've never really gone off too much of the deep end, even though I was a sweet tooth person as well. But if I'd continue just to not be active and carry on, I would possibly develop that. I would switch on that gene. So it's like looking at genetic inheritance, right? Look at it like that. What your parents pass on to you, that genetic inheritance, whether it be athleticism, whether it be stronger bones, denser muscles, all of that stuff, we can actually squander that genetic inheritance by the way we eat and live. Or we can protect that inheritance. You got to look at it like that, because health is an inheritance. You get it, you were born healthy. Everything after that is through your own doing. So people are like, oh, you know, there's cancer running in the family. You know, everybody has the cancer gene for the first part, for the most part. But whether you switch it on enough is a whole nother story. It's based on how you live, how you react, how you do certain things. So understanding hormones is a key factor of why you feel low. Some people talk about, you know, I just feel low today. I don't know why. You're looking at a hormone drop. You're looking at serotonin levels dipping. You're looking at lack of oxytocin and all these kind of things. Because, for example, when you're in love or you're intimate with someone, oxytocin is the main hormone that's floating around, right? And it's made in the pituitary gland. And that oxytocin is needed for intimacy. If you don't produce enough oxytocin, you cannot be intimate. So what happens is oxytocin is something that's affected by past traumas, by poor habits that affect oxytocin. Your cells have what they call cellular memory. So it remembers things. So if you have a habit, that habit is stuck down to your genetic memory. And you can pass on that. If you're a person of anger that gets agitated quite quickly, you will pass on those genetic markers to your children as they grow older. Now, as they grow older, they can determine whether or not they switch on that gene or not based on influence and social conditioning. All of those things factor. So healthy living for us, for people of color, we need to understand, one, we need certain things more than other people do. Sunlight is one thing, right? Everyone understands that we need a lot of sun. We are people of the sun. And when we lack sun, it affects our mental capacity. It affects our physiology, it affects our immune system, all of that stuff. Now, we're in the Western world, you know, in the Northern Hemisphere, where there's less sunlight. So it means we have to supplement, well, you can't supplement sunlight, so I don't want to give you that impression, but you supplement the actual calciferol that is made in the body, because your body can convert sunlight into usable energy. That is what the melanin allows you to do. The melanin allows you to convert that sunlight into usable energy. So it means we have to be out in the sun a lot more longer than our other racial counterparts, because we need to convert a lot of that cholesterol into vitamin D, because vitamin D is converted into a hormone, right? And it's a fat soluble vitamin that stores itself in fat tissue. But we need about 4,000 IUs monthly and daily, sorry. We need about 4,000 IUs of vitamin D3. And some people have heard me have this conversation about vitamin D3 and the difference between it. So if you don't understand it, you need something called vitamin D3, not vitamin D2. I'm a plant-based person. I've been vegetarian for a long time. What you get from a plant-based diet is mainly vitamin D2. Now, vitamin D3 is the overall factor that allows you to raise the overall vitamin D levels in the body, and it's processed in the liver. We need a lot more of that. of that vitamin D3. And vitamin D3 is non-vegan, right? When people pull vitamin D3 from things like algae or stuff like that, it is not enough for people of color. We need more vitamin D3. We need more access to sunlight. We need more water. We need more fruits and veg and stuff like that, because Black people have a stronger bone density mineral count. We have lower white blood cells than our counterparts in general, because our immune system more leans on melanin than it does on anything else. So on this challenge, weekly, we go through webinars where we learn about the relationship between people and food, how it affects our social value. In fact, sometimes food actually gives you an identity. People identify themselves with the food groups that they eat. What does that mean? Jessica Harris, who's one of my favorite culinary historians, spoke about food having a cultural symbolic roadmap to oneself, right? Your cultural food means something. It holds spiritual, social and economical representations of where you come from. So if you go to Jamaica, you know, everyone knows what the standard foods you see, rice and peas, dumplings, and certain things. They have cultural memory. It holds something to it. So if you go to Chinese people, they have their food, and we know what Chinese food looks like. You know, if you go to India, we know what indigenous Indian food looks like. But people don't know what indigenous African food looks like, because it's not what you're looking at. Rice and peas is not indigenous. Nairis dumplings, these are not indigenous foods. Fufu, pounded yam, all these things are not indigenous African foods. White rice is not indigenous African food, right? So we are still being conditioned by the West to eat a specific type of way. So that's why my work has been very focused on people of color. What makes us who we are? What makes us react a certain way, right? Because we all know that we've had to do with years of trauma, which affect every interaction that we have with people and ourselves. So it means healthy eating is another aspect in the way for us to heal, because we have to heal, right? It's important that we heal. In fact, it's better off that we heal before we even go and cohabitate with anybody else. And one of the hardest things we have to look at is, how do we protect our loved ones from ourselves and our traumatic experiences? So healthy eating, healthy living is not just about food. Food is just a side effect based on what's happening in somebody internally. So when you deal with what's happening internally and have a better relationship with food, you find out you have a lot more to gain from it, because nature is where healing is at. The closer you are to nature, the more healthier you are. Nature is the only place to boost your immune system, is the only place to be actually healthy, not through allopathic means, right? So that's important for us to understand. Even with skin, if you're living healthy and you treat the body properly, it will work with your skin. The problem is that your skin is the largest organ and we put chemicals on it. And because we put chemicals on it, because it's something that needs to breathe. So if you block those pores up, it is a problem for the body. So all these little westernized things that we've adopted cause us more harm than good. It's just, my job is to help us understand the social science and culture construct of how our biology works and how it affects our brain, how it affects our mood, how it affects how we do things, from estrogen to testosterone, because it's important that men and women both be healthy, because being healthy is not just about food, it's mental health. It's emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence does not come with age. I don't care how old you are, it doesn't mean you're emotionally intelligent, right? Because psychology says that people don't grow past the emotional age of 9. Right? And if you don't believe it, ask someone to give you an assessment of you when you're angry. You couldn't be more childish even if you tried, right? When you argue and bang, oh, this is childish stuff, because as an adult, we need to be able to listen to one another, right? So emotional age is not the same as your mental or physical age, right? And that comes from a healthy living, a balance. Health is about balance. I want you to associate the word health with balance. You got to be balanced in your mind, balanced within yourself. It's not having too much of one thing over the other, right? So it's important that we understand that. This is things that I dive deep into the challenge. A lot of the women on the challenge are making massive breakthroughs, understanding themselves, peeling off layers of thoughts and ideas to really reconstruct how the emotional connection with food is harming them versus helping them. So that's a big part. I'm also author. I wrote a book called The Melanin Effect. It is a science-based book, but it's also a research book. It's there for people to help study. Thank you, Joe. It's there for people to help study it. I want people to study themselves. I don't want you to read about yourself and put it down. No, you are a constant study, right? We are an experience. That's what we are, right? Who we are is something based off environmental constructs. It's about social construct, about who you are, and who you are can change. But what you are is constant. You see, we get caught up in the who that we forget what we are, right? When people ask me, What is a Black woman? I say she's an experience. Who she is her destiny, is her choice, but she's an experience. The Black man is an experience. How we experience each other is based on how much of that social construct we bring into the situation. That a man should be like this, or a woman should be like this. All these things make it difficult for two people to have a normal, neutral experience, right? And how I can help my situation is making sure that I live healthy, that I'm of sound mind, sound judgment, that my emotions are balanced, that I take care of myself. Because if I have a level of sense of self that I take care of, it means I'm practicing self-love. And if I learn to love myself, then I can love someone else. Hope that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Joe. And I mean, I'm on the challenge and I can feel the change already. You know, I'm actually down to eating just one meal a day now. So all the snacking and craving, you know, it's no longer there. So, you know, there are ladies on the platform, queens on the platform this morning, and they can put it into the chat that can testify to the various changes. But it's us queens who are taking up the challenge. We need the kings to come on board. And I've actually seen in the chat where quite a few of the queens have invited the kings to come on the platform, and they don't come. They won't interact with Zoom. It doesn't make any sense. You know, it doesn't make any sense. So we're going to be starting a King's 30-day intermittent fasting challenge on the 1st of March. Yes, this is for the kings. But what I will say, the queens can come as well. Yeah. And if there's any couples, you know, because I was saying earlier, you know, sometimes, you know, us queens have to be a bit more in charge, you know, and you're looking after your man, your partner, your husband, you know. So if you just tell him, I'm doing it, you're doing it. Simple. Yeah. You want to go into old age together, you know, and that's what it's about. So Joe, can you quickly tell us about the King's intermittent fasting and the code, etc., and if people want to book? Yeah, because we've already got people who are kind of like booking already, so we wanted to sort of like open it up to the kings. But if anybody else wants to book, you know, it's open for couples, kings, anybody who wants to book. Yeah. So Joe, can you tell us a bit, if you unmute yourself, my darling? Or Rudy, can you unmute Joe, please? Because Joe said he can't unmute.
There we go. Anyone hear me?
Fantastic.
Yeah, so we run the program. Normally it is, we have a deluxe version of it and a VIP version of it, which requires weekly coaching, depending on what you do. The base package is £85 and the VIP package is 120, but these are massive discounts for the Queens groups because normally I run it £157 and £107 for the deluxe. So deluxe has gone from £107 to 85, and then the VIP has gone from 150 to 120. It's so that you get enough coaching support and a better understanding, because we have 30 minutes to talk about you and your relationship with food, what makes you triggered, what makes you tick, why do you find comfort in food, you know, and start to explore those avenues so you can actually get a better grip on the mechanism of how you eat. So I'm not really focused on too much on the food. I'm focused on your relationship with it and what it says about what you're missing for yourself. So, you know, we do it weekly. So we have a Zoom session every Sunday. We have a phenomenal WhatsApp group that's just super active, and some of the best cuisines you've ever seen in a plant-based diet, and even a pescatarian diet or even a chicken-based diet. There's so much great food for you to pick from, constant support from everybody in the group. So it's somewhere you can plug into and actually know that, okay, cool, if I don't know what to eat, how do I eat? It's in there. You get a guide as well, a 30-day challenge guide that tells you which foods to avoid, which foods to use and why. And it also gives you a chance to actually share that journey with other people where you're not by yourself. So there's always a support system, and one-to-ones with me weekly is also available, so we can sit down and break down exactly where you are mentally, emotionally, and physically with food, and how to improve your life experience and extend it first and foremost. Because another key element that we're going to learn on the intermittent fasting is about anti-aging hormones that are inside your body, you know what I mean, and how to tap into that fountain of youth, you know what I mean. And because, you know, black don't crack. So we need to make sure that we find which hormone is responsible for that, because it will crack if you don't tap into that hormone. So yeah, it is £85. And if you're interested, go to Joan. Joan will give you the link. I'll even put the link in the message part as well. And yeah, just sign up. It's available till midnight. The discount's available to this midnight today. Let us know, get involved. Trust me, the next 30 days could be one of the best transformational 30 days you've ever experienced. And it's great because it's like a nutrition meets psychology type experience. So there's a lot more layers we dig between to conversate. It's a place you can go and stay steady to. So it's really a powerful thing. I've been running it for years. Always had amazing successes out of it. People have really transformed themselves. So it's £85 discount for till tonight. Message Joan, get in touch with Joan. She'll give you all the details, the code, everything to get the massive discount. Follow me on Instagram. I post things on science and biology and Black people all day, every day about our science. That's more important. That's what I'm more interested in, is our science, what makes us tick. At Joe without an E, jo.dash. Follow me on Instagram at jo.dash. And my YouTube channel as well, the Joe Dash Network, where I have one-to-one conversations with amazing healers in our community and how to get the best out of health. Yeah, so sign up by today. By midnight today, it is £85. And by tomorrow, it goes back up to 107.
You want to put the code into the chat as well a couple of times for us?
Yes, I will do that.
Because, normally after I finish the Zooms, my phone is almost, it's like I can't touch the phone, it's on fire. Yeah, so that'll be helpful because and I've just seen in the chat a lady called I think it's Barbara. Her husband has joined. He's on the Zoom. So
great.
Welcome, Barbara's husband. So that's
Welcome.
brilliant. So I'm going to take probably 2 questions quickly because I need to move on to the second segment of our Zoom today. So my darling Nadia, my queen, have you got probably 2 questions or maybe 3? You can stretch it to 3. Has anything come up in the chat, my darling?
Wow, there's just lots of greetings. I haven't, there's 2. I've got loads. I'm working my way through it, sorry.
I had somebody contact me yesterday, Joe, who wanted to find out. She's got irritable bowel syndrome. So would it be difficult for her to go on something like this, a program like this?
Absolutely not. In fact, it's the best time to go on a program like this with irritable bowel syndrome. Irritable bowel syndrome obviously is a gut issue, but it's mainly parasites that are responsible for irritable bowel syndrome and inflammation. So it can be parasites, parasitic or inflammation, and intermittent fasting is amazing gut cleanser too, because it's about healing from the inside out. So yes, if you have IBS, hypertension, or you've got low blood pressure, diabetics, all of those conditions are amazingly alleviated on the program. So it's interesting that when people have all these conditions, they come on the program and start to see the benefits and see how to drop that HbC1, and it drops lower and lower and lower. So normally, when people come on, they have conditions and they find themselves, healing from the condition because they learn how to eat properly and work with their biology. So yes, definitely you can come on.
Okay, fantastic.
We've just got, you've mentioned it already. Can you say more about fasting with diabetes? So I think, with diabetes, a lot of people that's one of them. What's the difference between packages?
Okay.
So there was a question, what is the difference between the packages? So you've got the VIP and the... Joe, difference between your packages, what's the difference?
Okay, so the difference is that with the VIP package, you get a one-to-one personal coaching with myself. So every week, apart from the group stuff, we meet up one-to-one as well to discuss your specific needs, and you get a diet plan every week with me, and we get a chance to do one-to-one. So that's the main difference. And also you get a Food Is Not Your Bay journal to track all your experiences and what you've been getting along with. Okay,
and that's it from me, Joan.
Fantastic. Joe, thank you very, very much for that wonderful overview in regards to intermittent fasting. So we're really opening this up to the kings to come on board, get involved, love yourself. We want you to have longevity. We want you to look good. Yes, when we go out, you just think, that man looks good. He looks hot. Yeah. We don't want to see the belly and all the other bits not quite in proportion. We want you the same way that we're out, we're walking, we're in the gym, we're doing weights and trying to make ourselves look good. We want our men, our Black men, to just look just as hot. Yeah. So thank you ever so much. So Joe, if you could post the codes, your contact details, etc., into the chat, that would be fabulous. So we are now going to be moving on to the second part of our Zoom. Queens, love, sex, and relationships. Yeah. What I will say at this point, I don't know if anybody's got any children up, but if they're at an age where they can understand certain things, I don't know to a degree what sort of like direction our conversations are going to go this morning with the presenters. So some of it might not be quite appropriate for young listeners. So I'm just putting it out there. So please just be mindful that some of the contents of this particular Zoom might not be appropriate for children to be present at. So I'm just putting that out there for now. So let's kick off. Kings and queens, are you all loved up? Looking for someone special? Or you just can't be bothered? You're at a stage where you just think, sure, I'm not going to bother looking for, you know, trying to find a good man or a good woman. Whether you're hoping to impress the other half, woo a potential soulmate, or indulge in a little self-care, we've lined up a fantastic panel of experts to have a chit chat. So as kings and queens, let's talk about love, sex, and relationships. Guest speakers, are you on the platform? Can you quickly come and say a quick hello? So Duchess, are you on the platform, my darling? Yvonne Michéle, are you on the platform? Hugh Myers, are you on the platform? Natasha Hells. So if you could unmute yourself just to say a quick hello, and then we'll kick off.
Hello, glad to be here. Good morning, everybody.
I can't, who is that?
That's Natasha.
Hi, Natasha. Welcome, my darling. Duchess, are you here? Hugh, could you say a quick hello so the guests on the platform know that you're actually in the house?
Oh, good morning to everybody. Pleasure to be here and really looking forward to the conversation.
Fantastic. Yvonne Michéle?
Good morning, Joan. Good morning, ladies. Thank you for inviting me back again. It's very much an honor to be here this morning.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, my darling. And Duchess, are you on the platform? I don't know. I think she's here. Right, so I'm not sure. Duchess, are you here?
Is Duchess using her name, or is that I can't see her, sorry.
Oh, you can't see?
I can't see. Is Duchess there? Could you identify yourself, please? Nope.
No?
No.
Okay.
No, I can't see her.
Okay, I can't see her either. Right, Yvonne Michéle, welcome. Would you like to kick off for us? Yvonne is a multi-award winning international speaker, author, coach, business mentor, singer, and Britain's Got Talent semi-finalist.
I am indeed.
Yes, you are.
I am indeed for my sins. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. How are we doing? I hope that we are all well. Now, if you were here last week, you'll know, before I get started, we need to shake this thing out. Come on, guys, take a deep breath in and let it out. Now, I don't know what your week's been like, but I want you to just take that week in when we take that breath in. And I want you to release all the stress, all the arguing, all the every petty thing that's been happening this week. I want you to breathe it in and let it out, and so we can move on. All right, so take a deep breath in, out. Now let's just shake it. Let's get a bit lively. It is early in the morning. Yeah, so this morning I am going to continue from what I was talking about last week. Now, I had thought about doing a talk on sex, but I actually looked at the time and thought, you know what, it's probably not the best time in the morning to go so deep into the subject. So I've decided to take you through a journey of self-love and partnership with self and others. And I am doing that this morning through love languages. So I'm going to be talking to you this morning about the language of love. Now, first and foremost, I'm going to say we are to fall in love with ourselves first. If you don't know how you want to be loved or how to love you, then you are going to suffer frustration, pain, suffering when you are in a relationship. You must have a relationship with yourself first, whether you're married now, whether you're single, or whether you're single-ish. Let me just tell you what I mean by single-ish. If you're single-ish, it means if you have a friend with benefit, a booty call, a side hustle, anybody like that, or what they call it, a sugar daddy or a sugar mummy, anything like that, an extracurricular activity that maybe not many people know about. That's why I call singlish. There is no judgment here this morning, none at all, ladies and gentlemen. I use these words very loosely, and like I say, there is no judgment. So this morning, I'm gonna go. Can I go on to share the screen?
Yes, that'll be fine, my darling.
Lovely. So here we are. Hold on. Let me take that down and do this. Okay, lovely. So love, sex, and relationships. Yeah. So as I said, we're going to be looking at what your love language is. And your love language describes how you receive love from others. Now, one of the reasons why I thought about this is because I run a show called After Dark, which is a relationship show for the African Caribbean diaspora. And we have many, many people on there, and it's been running since the first lockdown. And what I have discovered through the research that I've been doing amongst the group that I have is that most women, and women, do not shoot me down. You might want to shoot me down, but please don't. Most women do not know what they want in a relationship. You say you do, we have lists, but when it comes down to the nitty gritty, what we have found is we don't actually know what we want, what we desire. And on top of that, we don't know how we want to be loved. We don't recognize that. We don't think about, I want to be loved like this. I want to be loved like that, because that's my language. Most of us are not connected. Most of us are not connected with ourselves to know, actually, this is how I love to be loved. And this is what makes me happy. And this is why in some relationships, you will hear your girlfriends and your male counterparts say, oh, they're doing this, and I don't know why they do that all the time. It just upsets me. I don't know why some women is like, my partner, every minute is just touching. Because maybe that's his love language, personal touch. And so he's reciprocating to you what he wants from you, rather than actually thinking about what you want and how you want to receive his affection from you. So today we're just going to quickly dive into it really, really quickly. Just going to skim over it just to give you an idea of how important it is to know your love language. So the quality of your relationship determines the quality of your life. I want you to understand that oopsie daisy, hold on. That this is really important for you to understand, right? The quality of your relationship is determined. Stop. Right, good. So the first one is words of affirmation. These are verbal statements that display affection. Now, some of us, words of affirmation are things like compliments, sweet statements, expressions of pride and appreciation. These are the verbal statements that display an affection. So some people will be like, well, he never says anything nice to me. He never tells me that my hair looks nice. He doesn't even notice. This is a typical thing that women say. I had my hair done. I come home and my partner didn't even notice that I had my hair done. Words of affirmation are important to you. So if you understand that from the get-go, that this is a part of how you want to be acknowledged how you want to be loved, then you can quite easily have this discussion with your partner. Ladies who are single, how many of single ladies are here? Can you put if you are single, married, or single-ish on the chat? If you can do that for me, that would be really, really good research for me as well, and very interesting to know if you're married, single, or single-ish. Like I say, there is no judgment here. So if you're in a single-ish situation, it's all right. It's all right, girl. Don't worry. It's all right, gentlemen. Don't worry. Right. So your physical touch. So is the next one. So the first one was words of affirmation, which means the compliments. You love to have compliments. That's the thing that makes you feel good. That's the thing that makes you smile when someone acknowledges you with words of affirmation. The second one is physical touch. Now, some women, whether married or single, some women, feel a little bit uneasy with being touched all the time. We're out and about, like it's this weekend, it's the weekend of love. Yeah, some people don't want to be touched in public. Sometimes it's not their love language. But the physical touch is physical affection, such as hugging, kissing, holding hands, and being intimate. But it means being intimate in different times. So it's not behind closed doors, maybe. It's not just when it's you and that person. It might be when you're out, when you're walking, your partner might want to stroke your hand. The partner might want to pat you on the bum. And some people feel embarrassed by that. If your partner is reciprocating that to you, it's going to be a problem. But if it's something that you like, tell your partner. So the next one, I'm going to move really quickly because I know that we are up against time. So
you're all right, Yvonne.
Are we all right? Am I all right for time? Okay, let me just take a breath then. Because I am mindful.
I know you've got a message, my queen.
Okay, cool. All right, so acts of service. Now, acts of service are the actions. They are not physical gifts. It's about the action. And examples of that is having like someone that likes to take you out to dinner all the time, or is around you, wants to help you. As you can see in the picture, you've got the man underneath the sink. Some women, their thing is they want a man who can help around the house. Did I say some women? I think it's all women, I don't think it's just some. I think all of us like to have a handyman around, and it does help with the financial costs in the home as well. So it's things like, having somebody or having somebody that will wash your car, that will clean your car, as ladies, because I know most ladies on the chat here, that somebody that's there, that's looking out for you when you're coming from work and you've had a hard day, they'll just pick up your foot and just rub your foot and make you feel nice. That might be your thing. So you might not want somebody to be like telling you, oh, you look lovely as you come in from work, and to say you're not looking so good. You might want that person to just take up your foot and just rub your foot and just say, it's all right, babes. So it's identifying what your love language is and how you want to be loved. Okay. So when you're thinking about this, I want you to think about the last time that you were happy, the last time where you felt on top of the world, the last time where you felt connected with a partner. So this could be, if you are single, I want you to go back in your mind's eye. Yeah, because one of the things that I teach my ladies is that singleness is a state of mind. It is a state of mind. Yes, we all want partners, and yes, there is said that there are 7 women to every 1 man. And that might be the case. I'm not into believing all of these kind of figures and stuff like that, because we live in a big world. The men around you are not just, you can't just base it on what you see. You have to open up and expand your mind. And this is one of the issues that we have, especially the single women. What we have is like, there's no men around. But actually, if you change that conversation that you're having with yourself and say, actually, there's an abundance of men. I'm telling you, I changed my mindset. I changed how I started to speak. I've been single by choice for many, many years. And then I've decided, right, now is the time for me to look for the right person for me, Mr. Right, in the middle of lockdown. Can you imagine? Could you imagine that? Well, I guess you can, because if you're single, you might be feeling how I was feeling. And for years and years, I'm like, you put 5 of them together, then can't make one. I'd say all of these negative things. Ladies, I'm just giving it to you the truth. I'm not here to pretty things up. I'm here to give it to you as it is. I've said that, but I've had to change my language, change my mindset in order to start to navigate a different direction of where I want to go in my life. And I'm telling you this, it's working. It's working. So next one is receiving gifts. And many of us like the gifts. Many of us like the gifts. But receiving gifts, this involves tangible items with a thoughtful meaning. Gifts do not have to, it doesn't have to be about the money side of it, but it's more about that person is thinking about you. So if you know that that is your love language, then you have to you know, be honest and say, no, I said here on here, I said no one wants an empty present. And I was going to give you a story, a dating story. I'm not sure how much time I've got, but you know, when you meet somebody and you go on, say you go on a dating site and you go and you see the profile and they say all these lovely things and they do this and you know that they're a man's man, or they're a, you know, they're a lady, or they're a queen, and they do this and they do that. And then when you actually meet them and you start to uncover and unpick, you start to find out, was this a present? Was this person presenting a present as themselves, or as a one that you unwrap a present? You see the present in the picture there, you unwrap the ribbon and all of that, and inside is something lovely. Sometimes when you go dating, you're going to unwrap something and you'll find that there's nothing inside. There is not, it's an empty present. Yes, that's what I mean by an empty present. When you meet somebody that you think, you put them up on a pedestal because you actually, what you're thinking about or what you want is not unrealistic, but it's not actually what you desire. It's what everybody else has said they desire. You think it's a good thing for you to do. You meet them, and then when you unwrap it, it's an empty present. So what I'm saying to you ladies is, when you understand your love language, you can start picking up the right kinds of partners that you want. The last one here is quality time. Now, quality time involves moments together, and some of us value that more than anything else. We just want that time. We just want that connection with that person, and that is our love language. That is actually my love language. I like time. I like someone to spend time with me, doing things with me together, creating memories, because I'm quite a sentimental person. So that's how I like to be loved. But if I then connect with somebody that doesn't have much time, that's flying all over the world for work or whatever, is that really going to be conducive to me? No, it wouldn't. Probably wouldn't be very conducive to me. And then that's where the arguments start. That's when we start saying, oh, he never spends enough time with me. Oh, he never does this. Oh, he never does that. But actually, when you look at how the relationship is, or this person presents, when they present it, they would never have had the time to give to you. And so you then are in a relationship where you're like, this person doesn't value me, this person doesn't spend no time with me, but actually you had no business being with that person in the first place, because your language denotes something else that you need. And by connecting with that person, you're not meeting the needs that you need. So it's about taking responsibility. As I come down to the last, it's about us taking responsibility about what we want to receive in our relationships. So ladies, if you are married, if you are not, if you're single or you're singlish, I want you to think about where you are now, and what you actually want. How do you receive love? What do you actually want out of the love that's coming to you? Where do you see, what is the picture in your mind that you have of you in this relationship? And then once you start to put that together, when your partners are coming to you, you can then make decisions based on a far greater thing, rather than he looks good. And there's nothing wrong with that, looking at what he looks like and what he does, and how many children he's got. All of those things do matter. But the fundamental thing is when you come into a relationship or you meet somebody, you want to connect with that person that is going to be able to give you what you deserve. And this is a part of you rescuing your future. So as I said last week, as I said, my work is all around the relationship you have with yourself. I help women to build themselves up so that they can achieve anything that they want. And it's all based on and foundational about the self and having that relationship with yourself, knowing yourself, knowing your likes and your dislikes. And as I said, this love language, I didn't make this up. It's not any of my work. It was defined by a Dr. Gary Chapman. That there on the link, I'm going to leave a link. If you don't know what your love language is, there's a quiz. So I will leave that in the link. It's a free quiz. Do the quiz so that you know, that you can identify, and it gives you your top 2. These are the types of ways that you want to be loved. And then you can start to rebuild that connection with yourself, to knowing that this is how I want to be loved. And maybe when you seek your partner, get them to do it. If you're married, do one for yourself, do one with your husband. And if you have a little ish, because you're single-ish, then if you have time to meet in the lockdown where they say we're not supposed to be meeting, but never mind. If you are doing those illegal activities, then maybe you might want to get your person to also do the test so that you will know how they like to be loved. Because if you're both meeting each other where you're at, it's going to be harmony, not destruction. And we have enough broken relationships in our community as it is. So this is about us building and knowing and loving and being more assured that we know each other and we're getting what we need from each other. So I will leave. Is there any questions? I mean, I don't. Have I got? How much time have I got, Joan?
Right, we normally take the questions at the end.
The end, yeah.
To the end, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So my last slide is this, which is the After Dark show. We have the first date fix guy called Trey Innes coming on Tuesday. And as this is a Valentine's show, I thought, why not tell the ladies and the gentlemen we have this coach coming in. He's actually British but lives in America, doing very, very well, and he's going to be on our show on Tuesday to give us some dating tips. So ladies, if you are looking to connect with a man or woman, whatever it is, whatever your sexual preference is, but if you are looking to date and you want some dating tips and you want some guidance, be on the show on Tuesday, and it starts at 10 p.m. till midnight. And that is because we do talk dark. After dark, we do open, we talk about everything from sex toys to tantra sex, everything. We've discussed everything to do with relationships. And like I said, I would have gone in this morning, but I said, it's too early and the children might be running around, so let me do the right thing. Let me just do the right thing this morning. So yeah, so that's it for me. Tuesday 10 p.m. till 12 a.m. and that is the After Dark show, and it's where we stream live to YouTube every Tuesday night. So do come and join us. And that's me. Thank you very much, Joan.
Thank you so much. No wonder they call you the Queen of Inspirational Speaking.
Thank you.
And you're really targeting this morning.
Thank you.
You went in deep. I don't think you realise how deep you went. You got me thinking, I'm going to do that quiz. Definitely.
Yeah, do the quiz. I'll put it up in the link. I'll put it in the link so you guys can see the quiz. I put my details up there, and so everybody can have a go. And you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at what you'll find out about yourself and what you actually like through this quiz. Yeah, what your love language is.
Excellent. And I love the part about acts of service. Acts of service is so important.
Yeah. You know, if somebody can help you in whatever you're doing, it does make a difference. It makes the journey easier. So yeah, I'm a acts of service and quality time. Those are my two top ones. Yeah.
And the mere fact, you know, it's empowering to hear, you know, women can achieve anything.
Absolutely. We can, whatever we put our minds to. And just to say, Joan, you were saying that on the group, the men are not coming.
Yeah.
Right about now, there is a surge of women moving forward who are game changers. They're movers and they're shakers, and they want to change. They want to change themselves, but they want to change the world that they're living in. And so men, if the men are not careful, they will get left behind. So it is for us. Sometimes we have to drag them. Sometimes, you know, we have to, but then when we have brothers like Joe on there, I'm so pleased to see brothers like Joe moving forward and saying, this is what I'm doing. And, you know, we have to get more men supporting and more. So those of us who have partners and some of us who are in the singlish situation, just whisper into the men's ear and say, look, this is what we need to do. This is where we need to go. Come on, you've got it, guy. You got it. You got it. And really just encourage our men to move forward, because we don't want them to be left behind.
Absolutely.
We don't.
Absolutely.
We want our kings with us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, so, you know, thank you so much, Yvonne. Absolutely. What a talk. And please, as I normally say, please post your questions, a couple of your questions into the chat, but there'll also be an opportunity to ask the presenters questions directly. And yes, thank you so much, my darling.
You're welcome. One more. Oh, can I just say, I've actually put I've got a free ebook, and I've put it in the chat as well. So it's a book of inspiration. It's just affirmations. That's what it is. So it's a free book. So it's on the chat as well, if you would like that. Yeah.
If you keep an eye on the chat, presenters, please post your contact details into the chat, because we've got over 200 people on the platform and they're going to want to hook up because you guys have got some good food, some good, you know, inspirational, you know, things to share with all of us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Brilliant. So moving on, we have got the fantastic Hugh Myers, psychotherapist, relationship coach, mental health trainer. Where are you, Hugh?
I'm here.
You're here, you're here, you're here.
I'm here. I'm here.
We have a man. Most weeks it's just ladies, just queens. It's fantastic to have you on the platform. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you for having me, Joanne. Thank you for having me. Really intrigued. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Probably more so the questions and answers, the passa when it kind of warms up a little bit. But I think I'll just put something out into the atmosphere just for a bit of food for thought, so to speak. Yvonne spoke brilliantly about attachment theory, and funny enough, not attachment theory, about the love languages from Gary Chapman. And it was one of those things that I often talk about and weave into my podcast. I have a podcast on YouTube called It Takes Two, and it's a relationship show. So as a psychotherapist and a relationship coach, you know, the love business, they call me the love guru as a form of banter, some of my friends. And we talk about the love languages quite a lot. And I did have something prepared to go into, so I'm gonna have to hit it from another angle, because it's like Yvonne had kind of touched on a lot of things that I wanted to speak about regarding the love languages. But let's think about relationships, about love. Let's start from the beginning. When we are looking for relationships, or when we're moving towards marriage, or even thinking or considering meeting that special person, are we being intentional when we're in this process? And what do I mean by that? I mean that, do we meet people in, and this is again from a non-judgmental point of view, but just being descriptive, not prescriptive. Do we meet people in hookups and casual affairs, or casual interactions, or we're not sure what we want, but we kind of getting intimate with somebody, getting sexual with somebody, and we kind of drift into are we steady now? Are we exclusive? We have all these kind of new words coming up because we're dating and we're not sure about the status of the relationship, and hoping that it evolves into something serious and something monogamous, something committed. Or are we being quite intentional in the sense of, are we quite clear about where we are in our life and what we want out of a relationship? So when we meet somebody and we're, let's say we're doing the interview, we can be honest with first ourselves about what we want, and two, we can be honest with that person. So say, for example, somebody is looking for an exclusive, a man or a woman is looking for an exclusive relationship, looking for marriage. Ultimately, I want to be married in 18 months, but they're on a first date or a second date and they're having a conversation with that person, they're chopping it up. Are they comfortable in actually putting that out there into the atmosphere and actually letting that person know? Or are we thinking, I feel a little bit vulnerable. I feel like I might scare them off. I feel like I might push them away because this is possibly not what that person's looking for. But it might make sense to actually, one, be honest to ourselves and also be honest to that person, because with wealth, we can always lose our money and get our money back. But with time is something that we ain't going to get back. And to be honest, what is the point in engaging with somebody, hoping that at some point they're going to want the same thing that you want? Isn't it better to put it out there into the atmosphere that this is what I'm looking for? And if it's so-called scares them off, then this is the what you would call like the cleansing process. You're just getting rid of time wasters, or moving on to making space so you can connect with that person that wants the same thing that you want. So one of the first things I think we have to consider is our state of mind in terms of intentionality. Are we quite clear with ourselves, honest to ourselves, aware of what we want, and willing to put that out there and operate within that space of letting people know this is what I'm looking for. So if we don't attract that person, or let me put it this way, if there's that person that we find physically attractive but they don't want what we want, are we okay with saying bye-bye? Or are we going to waste our time and waste their time hoping that we can get them to conform to our program? So that's the first thing about intentionality. The second thing as well is fitness for purpose. What level of self-awareness do we bring to the table in terms of dealing with our unresolved past? Because we all got history. We're all products to a large degree of the experiences that we've had. But can we come to a new relationship without the baggage, without the unresolved issues, without the let me put it this way. Life comes out of, like they say that they get the living from the dead and the dead from the living. So let me break that down. So even with, for example, in the natural world, a fruit will die, a fruit will decompose, but out of that fruit decomposing, and a new fruit can be born out of that. So it's almost like we've been through certain negative experiences. We've been charred, we've been put through the mill, possibly difficult stuff in relationships. Everybody got their horror story, and most people that you speak to, most adults you can speak to, if you really open them up, they can give you a catalog of the injustices that they've experienced at the hands of a significant other in their past. However, when we use these terms, sometimes I'm even concerned about words from psychology that get into public speak when they start, people start to say, he was toxic, she was toxic, and narcissism, and this person was a narcissist. These are easy labels, right, to employ, because what does that do? We rob ourselves when we use these labels, because when we refer to that person as a narcissist, what does it tell us about the relationship? It means that implicitly, this person has some sort of psychological disorder or some kind of condition. Everything that went wrong was basically therefore, I don't really need any self-exploration, or there's no growth, there's no potential of growth because I was just a victim at the hands of this person. But as human beings, men and women, young or old, black or white, we all have agency. We all have a certain level of choices that we make. And sometimes we make the wrong choices and we have to live with that. And that's the beauty of this journey, this human journey called life, that we have free will, we have choices. I was really listening keenly, especially to Brother Joe when he was breaking down about the food and the type of food, how the food influences how we think. But sometimes it's a way that we think that influences the kind of food that we eat. So it's all interrelated. Now, let's talk a little bit about self-awareness. So we're talking about out of that devastation or out of that negative past, how do we, resolve some of those unresolved issues? How do we look into the cupboard? How do we look into that dark room, that fearful place about some of our insecurities and some of those things that we've been through? Now, that might mean entering into therapy. That might mean doing a particular self-awareness course, or going on a certain quest. It might be really literature. It might be a spiritual journey, however you get there. But there's going to be a need for some sort of cleansing so that you can come to the table, not perfect, but you can come to the table, let's say, somewhat resolved and aware of your issues and aware of your fragility or your soft spots, so that when you meet that person, that this is something that when you're building, you can put that into the mix. Now, if, for example, a man and woman meet and none of us are perfect, but I know, okay, I had a difficult past growing up with my mum. I know, for example, that, you know, I've got attachment issues. You know, I didn't really get that sensitive care because I was sent to England from the Caribbean, and well, my mum left me and came to England first, and so, you know, I grew up with that tender care in those years. And there's always something about me being a bit vulnerable, and always something about me being quote unquote needy. Maybe my love language is touch, and I need that extra affection, the extra cuddle. I need to feel connected to the woman that I'm with, for example. That's a vulnerability, but naming it and being able to communicate that to the woman that you're planning to build with, that, again, you're not perfect, but she is aware of where you're coming from, so she knows how to support you, or she knows I can work with that, or, you know, that's totally different to my love language, and I don't think this thing is going to work. So it's about being aware. It's about being confident and congruent enough to put it out there when you're sitting down and chopping it up with that significant person. And when I say that as well, it's not everything is for everybody. So maybe when we first meet people and we're kind of navigating them, there's certain information, it's like an onion, we're peeling off layers about what we're willing to reveal. And as this person shows us a part of them and we build up a level of trust, and we can reveal more and more. But I think that it's really important that people can be psychologically intimate before they get physically intimate. Because I think what happens now oftentimes is that people fall into sex and then try to figure out after sex, do you know what, let me try and find out to get to know this person. And it can be very awkward. People describe this as like a very awkward process. You've already been there, as they say, you've already been there now. And then you're trying to figure out who this person is. Or sometimes you got that sexual connection, and so you try to fit a square peg into a round hole. Oh, the sex was so great, so can I just make this the right person for me? Because that would kind of, as opposed to meeting the right person and then perfecting the sex, which can be worked on. We sometimes are a little bit guilty of doing it the other way around. So that's something to bear in mind. Also, speaking, I know it's a platform full of women, so I have to, I guess, speak on behalf of the fellas and say, what do the men want? I can't speak for all men, but I can definitely speak from research, from clinical practice, from the barbershop, from the basketball locker room talk. To a large degree, apart from femininity and cooperation, what do Black men in particular seem to want? The word on the street, the word on the wire, they want more sex and less conflict. Now let me break that down, because that might sound trivial. That might sound like, is that the hypersexual Black masculine man again lurking at our door? No. There's a difference between somebody who's a sex addict and somebody who has a healthy sex drive. And I think in the current climate that we live in terms of like the political landscape and political correctness and how people are allowed to articulate themselves and what we're really allowed to say, a lot of men are kind of afraid of being cancelled. So we learn how to navigate and say polite words and be very self-censoring around our female counterparts, women, in terms of, you know, the fear of offending. So this is a truth hour. So don't touch that dial. I'm going to just give it to you hot, drop it like it's hot, as they say. Men essentially want a big part of it, apart from cooperation, which is very big. They want more sex and less conflict, less a peaceful life. Now, let me just chop that up a little bit and link it back to the love languages. As Yvonne mentioned, love languages, you know, words of affirmation, nice words of affirmation, words, inspiring words, you know, like quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, physical touch. So while people sometimes say sex isn't love, well, let's it's a little bit more complicated than that. It's a little bit more nuanced than that. For many people, sex isn't love, or for heterosexual men do have that capacity, many men, should I say, have that capacity to be very divorced, to cut off a side of their almost their psyche and be very sexual, be very promiscuous with women, and have no emotional, no spiritual, no psychological consequences. It was purely a physical act. Yeah, men are very good at that. Men are very good at that, wired almost to be that way in some respects. However, when it comes to sex with the woman that they love, the woman that they have put on a pedestal in their mind and in their heart, sex now carries a different symbolic meaning, and also rejection carries a different symbolic meaning. So when a man is living when a woman shuts up shop or is quote unquote miserly, or he's living in a committed monogamous relationship or a marriage, and sex is a problem, yeah, rejection is taking him back to that poverty, or that young boy that was living in a world of lack, and that sex represents love with the woman he loves, and sex represents comfort, and sex represents being nurtured. It's a spiritual act. It's not just a physical act with that woman. So let's say that ultimately we're looking for love, we're looking for a safe haven, and you know that's what we look for in our significant other. So like I mentioned, I wanted to really go into the love languages, but I feel like that was really covered really well. So I think I might leave it there, and I think I've put enough into the atmosphere just to get the mouse of the treadmill moving, so that you guys will be thinking about maybe some questions that you can come back at in the questions and answers. And I really look forward to that. But yeah, that's me, as they say, that's me for now.
Thank you so much, Hugh. That was really quite thought-provoking. Yeah, I've made a couple of notes. You know, men want more sex and less conflict. So I'm going to throw it out there. Is it a case that men just want an easy life?
Is that an easy life? Is that a question to me?
That's the question to you. Is it a case that an easy life?
I thought we were going to do the lap. All right, yeah. So I don't know if that represents an easy life, but it might represent a peaceful life. I think that particularly for Black men living in societies like living in the diaspora, so like the UK, America, places like where there is not just racism, we don't like you, or I don't want to be your friend racism, but structural racism. So, you know, we have to really dig deep with our shovel and our spade to dig down and get oil, or, you know, to get our bread up. And the world outside, the institutions, they're not the most friendly places towards Black people in general. I know there's this thing about where we talk about colorism sometimes, and it's almost as if we live in such a racist society, but Black men get off scot-free because colorism is directed towards dark-skinned women. And no, UK is a racist country, it can be very challenging. So when brothers are out there doing their thing, living in, you know, integrating in society, when they come home, they're looking for a safe haven. They're looking for somewhere to regenerate and somewhere to recharge spiritually, and ultimately to connect with, isn't it? Like, it's about connection. So the love languages is about what gives people connection. So those words of affirmation, for some people, it's those words that give connection. But for other people, the physical act is what gives them connection, and being connected helps them to recharge. So I don't know if it's easy life, but it's more like, I think people are, you know, building. I'm building you, and you're building me, and we're working together.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much for that. So guests on the platform, if you have any questions, please pop a few of them into the chat, and we are going to be open for questions at the end of all the presentations. And just a quick reminder, presenters, please put your contact details into the chat, because we've got over 200 on the platform who are going to want to connect up with probably each and every one of you. And just a quick reminder to please follow us on Eventbrite for future events. And this session is being recorded for upload onto YouTube. They can go into our YouTube channel, and we've got so many Zoom videos to upload, but they're coming. So that'll be one of my little jobs this week. So thank you so much for that, Hugh. And I'm sure the guests on the platform will have loads of questions for you. We want to know how men think and how they tick. So thank you so much for that. So Duchess Ify, are you there, my queen? Wonderful Duchess, who focuses on couples and individuals from all different backgrounds. She helps you to identify and overcome your intimacy inhibitions so that you can enjoy a fulfilling relationship. So Duchess, are you there, my darling?
Yes, I am. Good morning. Good morning,
Queen.
Good
How
morning,
are you?
everyone. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Awesome. Awesome.
So I'm going to hand over the platform to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, everybody, and thank you all for being here. I mean, for allowing me on your platform, Joan, because it's an honor and it's a privilege to be able to share my own message and my own view of intimacy in a relationship and the importance of intimacy in a relationship. I'll just kind of give a quick overview of who I am so you understand why I started this journey, this purpose, this passion for myself. So I'm Duchess Iffy. I am a mother of 2 teenagers, happily divorced, and I emphasize happy because I have a great relationship with the father of my kids. I am a qualified psychosexual therapist and a coach, but most importantly, I am an intimacy strategist, and I'll explain what that means. When I started my journey of healing, that's what I'll call it, my journey of healing, I realized that in order for me to be able to go into another relationship, I had to deal with the baggage, the pain that I had from my previous relationship. And that is very, very important. It's not fair to go into another relationship and start to make assumptions about how they're going to be, how they're going to treat you. And I just didn't think it was fair, because I knew that the chances of me being in a relationship with someone who was in my situation divorced was high. So if I'm expecting them to bring something to the table, I needed to make sure that what I was bringing to the table was less baggage. I'm not going to say we can all have no baggage, but at least let me do something proactively to have less baggage. So I went to get myself a coach and a counselor to kind of work through my journey, connect my head to my heart. And during that time, there is something she made me realize. She made me realize that I had become a functional person in my relationship. What do I mean by functional? I had become so good. I mean, my background is I'm Nigerian, and I grew up in the church. And part of the things that I was taught when I was becoming a wife was I was the one that held the home. It was my responsibility to keep the home together. So that's a lot of pressure. So I was thinking, okay, to keep the home, and I was supposed to be a Proverbs 31 woman. And I went there and I looked at what it was. And for me, it was a case of, I got to take care of the home. I have to take care of the kids. I have to make sure that I provide financially towards the home, because I know that my husband at the time can't do it on his own. I had to make sure that things were just running smoothly. That's functional. My heart wasn't in it. My brain was in the forefront of that relationship. And I'm not going to say it was all his fault or my fault, but I'm talking from my own perspective. And I had forgotten how to be my husband's friend, his lover, his cheerleader, his, not, you know, the emotional things, the things that brought us together in the first place. I completely put it to the back. I mean, yes, we had sex, but was it all as much as he would wanted? Probably not. But I was like, come on, dude, I'm doing other things. I'm tired. I can't give you, sure, look, I'm tired. And I expected him to understand. But what I'd forgotten is that making love to me was his way of expressing love to me. I didn't know that, and no one told me. So it was that realization that, oh my goodness, I'm into self-development, I'm emotionally intelligent, and yet I didn't realize that I had become a worker in my own marriage as opposed to a wife, a friend, a confidant. I'd completely forgotten, and I thought I was doing good. You know, I was like, you know, what is he complaining about? And that realization hit me, and I was like, oh my goodness, how is it that I did not know this? If I don't know this, how many other women like me don't know this? And this was happening when I was turning 40. Sure, it was the year I turned 40, when I was kind of looking for, what do I want to do that's beyond my 9 to 5? And I said, you know what, I'm going to start off as a sex coach. Because I was like, you know, what do I talk about? Like, what do I enjoy talking about that I don't take as a joke and I take really seriously? So I called myself, I came out of the closet, I said, I'm a sex coach. And if you know the African community, if you come out and say you're a sex coach, my mom first was the issue, not gonna lie. You know, I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna tell my mom, this is what I've chosen to be a career? No more business analyst, but a sex coach that goes to a Pentecostal church. But anyway, I came out of the closet, it was good. But as I started to speak to clients and speak to people and started to delve deeper, I realized that sex wasn't the true issue. It was an issue, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't the true issue. What the problem was that people were not connecting as they're supposed to. That connection was diminishing as life got in the way, as children came along, as bills came along, as mortgages came, as expectation of people saying you have to build wealth, you have to build a legacy. But no one said, as you're building the legacy, you need to build your relationship, because it is definitely very lonely to have all that money, all that wealth, all that legacy, and you're on your own. And I was like, that's interesting. And then I was like, okay, so what can I do to make it different, to kind of get to the core? And I realized that intimacy was the problem. And it wasn't just, I wanted to focus on the non-sexual side of intimacy, because when you say the word intimacy, the first thing that comes to everyone's mind is sex. And I apologize if any, if you've got your kids around you, I apologize, but I will be using the words sex and stuff. But it was, what about the non-sexual side of intimacy? And I made a decision, that is what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on that. And as I started to talk more about intimacy, I was then fortunate enough to be able to have the opportunity to kind of feature in magazines, newspapers, where they wanted to hear something different. So I just thought that today, what I was going to talk about is intimacy, and let us understand the importance of it. Let us understand what it is, the impact of it in our relationship if we neglect it, and the beauty of it when we really become intentional about intimacy. And please, when you're listening to me, please note that intimacy isn't just for romantic relationships. It's across the piece of every relationship that you have. It's in your platonic relationship. It's in a relationship with your kids. It's in a relationship with your siblings, with your best friends. We all have varying levels of intimate relationships with different people. I mean, I have my girls that I call my ride or die. But even within that, there are things that I would tell one person that I don't tell the other person. That's the truth. So, so let's kind of get into it. So intimacy for me means different things to different people. And I would just kind of read out what the dictionary says so that you kind of get a feel for what it says. Bear with me. So the dictionary defines intimacy as close familiarity and friendship, and also euphemism for intercourse. Now, what I say is that intimacy is about you seeing the authenticity of another person, of you seeing beyond the facade that person gives to the world. It's seeing them when they're hurt, when they're sad, when they're happy, when they're joyful, when they're feeling discouraged. You can identify that without them saying anything. That for me is what intimacy is about. It's about seeing your child come down the stairs a certain way and you know there's something wrong. That is knowing your child intimately. It's about seeing your best friend. They call you on the phone and you say, hey, what's up? And they're like, hey, and you already know there's something going on, and you're not going to let them go till they tell you what's going on. It's about your partner coming in and they just sit down and they just don't say a word. And you know immediately that you need to give them space, that they don't have to ask for that space, but you're giving them that space. That is what I call intimacy. And I know you might have heard this everywhere, and I love it because, and I can't remember who said it, but it was a definition. I'm sure I saw it on a video somewhere. The lady said, into me, you see. Literally, that's what it is. Into me, you see me. You don't see. So for instance, yes, I'm called Duchess Iffy, but some people know me as just Iffy. Iffy is that person at home, the chilled out person. There are people that see beyond Duchess Iffy, the person who comes out and says, oh, I'm an intimacy expert and all that kind of jazz. Iffy is the person that will sit and watch Netflix and cry if it's a sad event. That is about into me, you see. But in order for you to see that person, we need to be able to give them the safe space to be open and vulnerable with us. Now, what do I mean by that? There is so much going on in the world, in United Kingdom, in everywhere else, that we are always having a wall in front of us because we need to be tough. You know, strong black man, strong black woman, you know, it's the thing that is said time and time and time again. And it's amazing to be called these things. But you know that sometimes the truth of the matter, sometimes you just want to come home and just break down and just say, you know what, I'm not coping. But because everyone has a wall around them, we don't allow ourselves that opportunity to even just say it, to say, I'm not coping. I'm not coping with the pressure of being a man, the definition of a man that the world has given, the definition of a black man, the definition of a black woman. It is not easy. We are all kings and queens, but you know what? Sometimes the crown is heavy, and we need to allow ourselves to say that, and we need to allow our partners to say that to us. It's very, very important. We need to learn to give each other safe spaces to be truthful, to be honest, and to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is probably one of the hardest things for any of us. And I'm not even going to differentiate that between men and women in this case, because being black is hard. It's as simple as that. It is hard. We have to deal with that every day. So we already have that burden that we carry, much less the other expectations. I'm the first child of my mom. My dad's no longer. I have expectations on me. I have a sister. She has expectations of me as the older one. My kids have expectations on me. It is not easy. The father of my kids has expectations on me because he can't see them as often. So he expects me to keep them on board with Zoom lessons, and I'm working. Ain't easy. You know, you're worrying about, oh my God, if I go outside, am I going to come in? And, you know, there is so much going on. And we need somebody to just say, it's hard. But we need to learn to be able to say it's hard. We need to be able to say that to the people who will understand us, who would say, you know what, I get it. What's going on? Talk to me. Sometimes when we come and say to each other, it's hard, it's tough, it's not because we're looking for a solution. And guys, kind of take this on board. When I want to talk to you as a woman, and I'm coming to you and I'm saying, you know what, this is how I feel. I'm not asking for a solution. I'm just asking for you to listen. And I understand as a man that you are wired to offer a solution and try to help me out. And I love you and I bless you for it. But you know what? Sometimes just listen. Let me get it out. I don't have the answers to the questions you're going to ask me in order for you to get to that resolution. I just want to talk. So sometimes just listen to us. And women, do that for the men too. When the men want to speak to you, listen, because it's not easy for them to open up, because they have to actually remove the layers of not being a man, of not being strong, of not holding it. They need to remove so many layers that by the time they want to come to you, they've already fought a battle. They don't want to fight a battle with you. As Hugh said about, you know, coming in and they want something peaceful. They want peace in every areas. It's just about, can they talk to you? It's difficult. And we always have to remember that. It is very difficult. But the thing is, can your man talk to you? The man that is trying to get closer to you, to get to know you, get to understand what's ticking. Can he speak to you about how he's feeling? And that's a question we all need to ask ourselves. Can we allow the other person in life speak to us? Do we hear them? Communication is key. And I totally agree. Communication is definitely key. However, effective communication is a greater key. Just talking does not mean anything. Because if you're just talking and the person is not listening, what's the point? And I always say that I always break down effective communication to these 3 ways for me. And this is how I tell my own clients. When you want to communicate, because communication does, oh my God, it does bring about intimacy. Because how else are you going to get to know someone? You've got to talk. But let me ask you to do this. First thing you need to consider when you want to communicate effectively is think about the timing. Seriously, think about the timing. If they are not a morning person, please don't try and have that serious conversation in the morning, especially if they need their coffee first. Come on. You know, yes, it might be serious, but you know what? You need to know the person you're with, learn them, understand them. If they're not a morning person, being stereotypical, if I say the guy's watching sports, please don't try and have a conversation when he's watching football. Realistically, honestly, is he really going to listen to you when there might be an offside? No, he's not. He might pretend he is, but trust me, what you can see him doing is, you know that he's doing that. And what's going to happen is that you're going to get upset that he's not listening to you. He's going to get upset because he can't understand why you won't allow him just watch football and have the conversation later. And then the outcome that you want is lost. So what's the point? You have to understand each other. It's the same with me still being stereotypical. If the lady's has come out from work and she's doing domestics and she's trying to make dinner for the whole family, and you want to have a conversation when she's already running late. Come on, guys. She can't deal with that then. But what we need to learn to do in that time is to say to our partners, can we talk in 30 minutes when I'm done? Can we talk after I finish this? If it's not an emergency or, that needs to be dealt with that way, why can't we give our partners the grace to be able to finish what they're doing so that they can give us a full-on 100% one-to-one attention? Why can't we allow each other that safe space to be able to say the truth? We should be able to do that. We need to, if we don't give the people we love and the people that we put on a pedestal, the people that we've chosen, that grace, but yet if some person calls us up, oh, hello, I'd like to speak to you for 5 minutes about some survey, and you're like, oh, okay, yes, I've got time. You give them time, but you won't give your partner time. How does that make sense? You should be able to give them the ability to say, can we do this later? And you're like, okay, fine. And when you say, can we do this later? I'm going to be specific here. If you say 30 minutes, please make it 30 minutes. Be honorable with your word. Be honorable with your word. If something comes up, let them know. So it shows to the other person that you haven't forgotten, that what you want to tell me is important. What you are important for me, that I am going to keep my word to you, that I will have a conversation. The other thing to think about is the tone. We all have different tones. Some of us are louder than others, harsher than others, and all that kind of stuff. But what you also have to remember is that the way our ears, the way we hear sound, affects the way we respond. If you want something to be done, or if you want to have a conversation, don't come in a loud voice. Yes, sometimes we can be upset, and it happens. Don't get me wrong. We are human, and we'll have times when we're upset and we're going to shout. But most times, remember, you want a good outcome. You want an outcome to that conversation. Coming in shouting doesn't make sense. Let's go into common sense here. Does it make sense for you to go to that person, start shouting? First thing they're going to do is they're going to shout back. When they shout back, what do you think is going to happen? They're just going to be shouting at each other. That's what's happened. So the thing that you wanted to talk about, it's not even going to happen. So let's be aware. You see, I like that word, being self-aware. We need to work on our self-awareness in all things. Let's remember what we like so that we can treat the other person in a similar manner. So let's be aware of the tone that we use. And I'm not saying be fake and, say if you're not soft-spoken, become soft-spoken. No. But all I'm just saying is just speak normally. Just have a normal conversation. Just be normal. Don't have to go, I'm not softly spoken. I'm not. I am one of those people. I'm like, oh my God, please, I wish I could speak more softly. But, I don't have that voice and I accept it. But I know that I have to be consciously aware that if I truly want a good outcome from my conversation, I have to be aware of my tone. The third thing I'm going to say is words. The words you use, let's be careful. Every one of us, men, women, let's be careful, even to our kids. When you use an accusatory word, we become defensive. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example of me and my son. My son is 17 going on 18. He's meant to take out the bins. That's his job. He should take out the bins. Does he? No. Now, especially when that he has no reason to actually come downstairs unless there's a need for food. There are two ways I can deal with it if I go out and come in and say, oh, you should take out the bins, and he hasn't. If I come in and say to him, why is it you always wait for me to tell you to take out the bins? He is going to react in a way that is defensive. He's going to feel attacked because I've used the word always. Because if I'm being honest, it's not always. Sometimes he goes and takes out the bin. What I should have said is, what happened? I asked you to take out the bin. Why didn't you take it out? It's given him an opportunity to answer the question and answer it in a way that he doesn't have to lie. He gives me his true reason. If it's that he forgot and he was playing his PlayStation 4, trust me, I get irritated. I'm not going to lie. But I also have to remember that it does happen. And am I going to what do I want? For the bins to be taken out? My goal is not for me to have an argument with my son. No. My goal is for that bin to be taken out. So if I said, what happened? Oh, Mom, sorry, I actually was playing PlayStation. I forgot. Okay, you know I don't like it. Can you please go and take out the bin? Simple. It's just simple respect. He's my son. I'm his mother. I mean, I'm going to say this. I own him, but I don't treat him that way. I have to give him respect, because the respect that I give him enables him to understand that he deserves respect outside of my home. That's what I'm teaching him. I don't have to do so. I'm an African parent, but I have chosen that that's not how I'm going to be with my son. And that's the things. If with our partners, it's the same thing. Oh, you never do that. Is that really true? Just deal with that issue at hand. Ask the question. Okay, it really upsets me that you didn't do it. Please, next time, I would really appreciate if you do it. Yes, there are times we're going to get angry. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're never going to get angry, but let's be intentional. Let's be aware, because it's about effective communication to get the right outcome. That's what I'm saying. And the more you do that, the bolder they become to tell you the truth. The more they know the truth, the more you know the truth, the closer you become, and then you can navigate your way to be able to get what you want. And it's not about manipulation, it's about knowing the person. Because sometimes we think that it's manipulation. No, it's about connecting with that person and understanding. I know first thing in the morning, I wake up, I tell my son, you have to take out the bins. You have to. That's your job. Go and check the bins. That's what I do. So I'm helping him to help himself. So that's where another way to build intimacy is the communication, because we have been told time and time again, communication is key. But let's remember, it's effective communication, because if you're not communicating effectively, you're not going to learn anything. And if you don't learn anything, you can't be closer. Another way about building intimacy is that, remember I was talking about the non-sexual side. I mean, some of us were au fait with having sex, making love, whichever term you prefer. And you still have to learn how to communicate in that area, because what works for A doesn't always work for B, and your desires, your wants, they all change. But let's put that to one side. Another thing is that you need to learn how to connect mentally. And what do I mean by mentally? You need to learn how to connect in the way that you have conversations that are stimulating. You have conversations about the things that interest you. And you have conversations about subjects that might not even be things you agree on, but you respect each other. I mean, and I'm going to take, I don't know, the vaccination or Trump, one of those two controversial things. You should be able to have a conversation, disagree without you hating each other. You just want to learn each other's points of view, because let's be honest, especially if you've been together in a relationship for a long time, you've changed. Life changes us. I'm not the person I was in my 20s. Now I'm in my 30s. I was waiting for the person I am when I was 40, and I'm 45 now. I change because my interaction with different people, the things that I've learned, the things that I've heard, being a mother, being divorced, going from being a business analyst to being a coach, all these things have changed my perspective, the way I think, the way I stop judging people, the way I accept that people have to be the way they are. So we have to understand that we need to be able to communicate and share those mental things, those things that excite us. Another way of building intimacy, laugh. Learn to laugh. It's important. Learn to play. And this is not just romantic play. Yes, romantic play is fine, pillow fighting, all that kind of stuff, lovely. But it's just simple playing, just, remembering things you used to do and say, oh my God, do you remember that first date when you came in and your shoes didn't match your belt, for instance, and you laugh about it. It's another way of building intimacy and helping you to remember why you're with that person in the first place. Because trust me, you are going to get to points where you don't like each other. That's the truth. We can't get away from that. That's fact. I'm a factual person. It is a fact. There's some days you're going to wake up and you're like, oh my God, could you chew any louder? And that used to be so cute before. And now it's like, oh my goodness, can you chew any louder? What is wrong with you? That is just you not feeling him or her today. That's all it is. But, it's a case of remembering that there's a reason why you got with them. So remember to play, remember to love, remember to reminisce, remember to share your hopes and dreams. It's very important. Sometimes we like to live in isolation, even when we're in a relationship. Why? Why do we do that? We're not in competition. Even if you're in the same job, the world is big enough for everybody. I am me, you are you. We can never be the same. My genetics are different from yours. My approach is different. We can, all, I mean, think about it. We're all kind of speaking on the same subject, but we're approaching it from different aspects. So share it. Oh, I'm having a problem with my boss. What do you think? When you ask your partner for help and say something like that, I'm having a problem. What do you think? They're like, oh my goodness, you are asking me for help? You are asking for my opinion? You value me that much that you would ask me for help. Let's not underestimate how that feels. Let us not underestimate how that feels to the other person, regardless of the love languages. And I love them. Mine is acts of service. Everybody likes to feel that they are important, that they're valuable, that you need them, that you want them, that they are, that the solution they provide you will solve all your problems. Whether it's true or not is how we like to feel. So let's allow ourselves the luxury of indulging in that feeling and giving it to our partners so we can be closer. So share those things. And then please, 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 please share your body too. Don't deny your body from your partner, please. If they ain't doing it well, have a way to communicate. Have a way to communicate about what you like, what you don't like, when you want it, how you want it, where you want it. I want him to dress up. I want her to dress up. Oh, you dress up too much. I don't like that nightgown you went. I want you to come to bed naked. Whatever the thing is, talk about it. Don't forget my effective communication. Just apply it there. But intimacy, true intimacy does come from sharing your body. You slot together. I mean, you can't get closer to another human being than when you are having sex. You just literally slot. That's what you do. I don't care if you add some other things, paraphernalia and all that kind of stuff in your bedroom, but you still slot together. You can't get closer to another human being than that. That's the truth. So let's not neglect that while we're working on intimacy, because intimacy helps you to kind of weather the storm. Intimacy builds a foundation that keeps you solid. Intimacy helps you to, that even if you do break up for whatever reason, that person can still be your friend. Not always, but can still be your friend because you know them. Intimacy means that your children don't play you against each other. That's what intimacy does. Intimacy means that friends can't come in and tell you, oh, I saw your man there, I saw your woman there, and then causes an argument and they're in their house living happily. Because you know that I know my man, I know my woman. Even if I want to ask a question, they know that I'm asking not because I'm accusing them, but just because this is what someone said to me. Or you choose not to even have the conversation, however it floats your boat, depending on your relationship. Intimacy means that nobody can come in and cause havoc. Nobody. And when I say nobody, I'm talking about everybody. Anybody that's beyond the two of you is a somebody outside. And mums, you know, sometimes we like to put our children on our heads. And I get it. And I understand it. But you know what? Sometimes when you do that, you displace your partner. And it's not fair to them. So you have to find a way to manage yourself. We have to find a way to manage ourselves, because if you neglect them, they're going to disconnect. If they disconnect, your relationship is disintegrating. That's fact. And if you continue that way, you're going to be like me. And you don't want to be like me. I mean, I'm amazing, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean. You don't want to be divorced if you can avoid it. You don't want to be divorced. Divorce is not fun. It is not, because I know the guilt that was associated with it. I know every parent who has separated from the other partner who thought that they were going to be together to raise their children. There is guilt associated with it. There's shame associated with it, even if we don't want to admit it. So let us not forget the importance of building a great foundation based on intimacy, because it helps build self-esteem. There's nothing worse than being in your relationship and you feel that you're not number one. You feel that your self-esteem has gone down. Your confidence in the relationship has gone down, where you don't think you can speak up, where you don't think you have a voice in your relationship. That is lack of intimacy. That's what's going to happen. So ladies and gents, I'm not going to talk for too long before I run over myself, but honestly, intimacy is key. That's what I say. I don't say communication key. Intimacy is key because there are different ways to connect with your partner, with your friends, with your children. You have to find a way to speak to them, to speak to their spirit, speak to their soul, speak to their heart. And that can only happen if you speak from your own heart and you're intentional about how you want your relationship to be. Yes, we all have burdens. We all have things that have happened to us. But you know what? We can do something about it. I was frustrated with my coach because she was white, good at her job, but she couldn't understand when I said that I am responsible of making dinner for my husband and I have to serve him. That's my culture. I serve my husband. That's what I do. I call him the head of the household. That's what I do. But I don't want to keep wasting time, wasting precious minutes of my 90 minutes, 1 hour to explain what it is to be in a Black relationship. That is why I said, you know what, I'm going to do this, because you don't have to explain to me that sex education that you had was don't get pregnant. That's it. You don't need to tell me more than that. I understand. If you say, oh, I was raised in the church, I already understand what kind of barriers are happening, what kind of things you were told, what makes sex not as free and as relaxed and as open as it can be, because we have been conditioned in a certain way to be a certain way. That is the things that I realize, that's why I have to do what I do, because if I don't, we're going to continue to be in relationships that are dysfunctional, relationships that don't work, and then we're going to carry on to our children. And we're not going to be able to equip them to have great relationships, good relationships, where they don't have to go through the trauma that we have gone through, possibly will go through, when they can have a very thriving, functional, loving, all-encompassing, and I hate this word, holistic relationship. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. And that's me.
Iffy, Duchess, Iffy. You light up the platform this morning. God. And you just kept it so real, my queen. So real. Thank you so much for that communication. You touched on the whole, I mean, I know you hate the word holistic, but it is, isn't it? It is a holistic approach. Communication is key, you know, being valuable. And it's really about checking ourselves, isn't it?
Yep, definitely. We have to take control of ourselves. We've got to know ourselves first.
Yeah.
And build the intimacy with ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Thank you so much. So guests on the platforms, post your questions into the chat. I'm going to pick up a few of them and have your questions. I mean, there's people who've got their hands up, I think, already. They're taking them back down. You know, when we come to the Q&A at the end, put your hand up. Please have your camera on, because we don't like talking to a black screen. Say who you are, where you're calling from, and you'll be able to ask our fantastic presenters on the platform this morning any questions. Yeah. So we're moving on to our last presenter, Natasha Aka, Tapping with Tasha, life coach and EFT practitioner. Tap your way in to find your way out of roller coaster emotions. I love that. Beautiful, Natasha. Where are you, my darling?
I'm right here. Good morning. Good morning. We're still morning, aren't we? This has
been
today. Absolutely amazing. Wow. I'm so blessed that Yvonne introduced me to this platform, because I've just learned some more stuff, and I'm always open to learning. So wow. I guess I wasn't sure how to kind of show up today, but I think every single presenter on the panel has touched on why I do what I do, basically. So I'm a mum of 3, and last year I stumbled across a technique that really helped me to find myself, even as a trained coach. With all the madness that was going on in 2020, I was struggling. I was really struggling to come to terms with being locked down, you know, being locked in with the husband, all of the stuff that every single presenter has spoken here. And the thing I was you know, when you get to that point where you need to just make a decision, I stand for more, I want more, and I deserve more. It was something that I went out looking for it, and I wish I had come across a platform like this, because I would have saved so much time going through so much heartache and aggravation, being able to communicate my needs, having that more self-awareness, knowing my love languages, etc. All of these things would have saved us so much time thinking about the body, the food that I was putting into my body. So this platform, Joan, is an absolute blessing, absolute blessing. And much like Duchess, I have, as a coach, I've been through my own processes of going to counselling and trying different modalities to be well equipped to serve the people that I work with in my day job and for my private clients. And again, representation so matters, so matters. I was born in the 70s, and there were lots of things in a single parent household. There were lots of things that I never saw. They weren't explained to me. And so you kind of go through life trying to figure these things out. So this, as I say, this platform is amazing. So a bit more about emotional freedom tapping. It's called tapping, and it's basically this wonderful tool that can help you to connect with yourself, bringing your mind and your body together. And I think Joe started talking about that as he started talking, and all the other speakers have also mentioned about having that connection. And the love has to start with yourself. And that was the changing point for me. So EFT is a healing modality. It brings together Eastern medicine with Western psychology. And how it works is it brings together the acupuncture points around the body. And it also brings together thought therapy. So you're talking through your emotions. And what you do is you tap around the body. And as you do so, you're releasing blocked stagnant energy around the body, which allows you to release trauma and unsaid things. And for me, this was the game changer. By being able to feel safe in my body and release things that I've been holding for a long time. I think Duchess touched on it. I think last year the trigger for me was the relationship issues, not being able to communicate my needs, and not being honest with myself about what I needed, not feeling I had anybody to go to speak about these things. This technique, it can be practiced on your own, or you can go and find a practitioner. But for me, being a person of colour is key. Having someone where I don't necessarily have to go through the history and just get to the point. But what I wanted to do, use this platform today, was to give you a quick example of how it works, so that you can, using the information that you've received from the other speakers in here today, just take a moment to be with yourself and see where you are in terms of Valentine's this weekend. If you were to put your hand on your heart and say, I love you, what does it bring up for you? I know that for me, that was something that I've struggled with for a long time. Being the eldest, being, having expectations of everybody put upon me, a bit like what Effie was saying. We have so many expectations, being a high achieving, being a Black woman, and wanting to do better for each generation, wanting to do better for your siblings. You carry a lot. And what I specifically focus on is working with, and I think somebody put it in the chat actually, which I think was an interesting term, the superwoman syndrome, or for me, it was secretly struggling. It's a way for us to self-soothe and release trauma-based beliefs that impact what we do or don't do, as it were. And so for me, this technique helps us to feel safe, to reconnect and to release. Have I got enough time to continue, Joan? To just do a quick demo?
Yeah, okay. Please do, yes, thank you.
So the tapping points, and it's really simple. The tapping points are the karate chop point, the side of your hand, the top of your head, and you're going to gently tap. I'm going to run through what it is first. So it's a bit like Simon Says, really. The start of your eyebrow point, the side of your eye, under your eye, under your nose, under your chin, under your collarbone point, this is really great if you suffer from anxiety, because just tapping on this point, it tells your body to start relaxing. And I wish I was more like Joe here, and he loves facts and figures and science. I'm more of a feeling person, so I just prefer to feel it and experience and talk. But the thing about tapping is it bypasses your conscious mind, and it gets straight through to your subconscious mind. And it puts your body into a relaxed state, so it's open to receive. And being in that relaxed state, it's also open to release any specific traumas. The next tapping point is under your arm or by your bra strap, ladies. And the next one is your wrists. Now, when I first saw this on Facebook, I thought, oh my God, what the hell is this woman, this white Canadian woman doing? I thought it was completely crazy. But actually, it got me out of my head and into my body and into my heart. And when we also add the words together, it's phenomenal, it's quick, yeah? I put together, well, I didn't. I took a script because we're talking through emotions. And it was about thinking about today. I thought that we could start with an intention, that if I'm worthy of love. And I think a lot of the conversations that we've had today have been about self-worth. And I know that was a big thing for myself, even though I wasn't presenting, or it wasn't at the forefront of my mind. It was an underlying traumatic belief that I wasn't worthy and I wasn't deserving. So I thought today this might be a good one, just to test, to see where you're at in your current state. So if you're able to and you're not driving, what I wanted us to do was to take a few deep breaths, just to center into this moment. And you can close your eyes, or you can keep them open, but just to take some deep breaths in, to get centered in this moment. Whatever's happened previously has happened. Whatever's going to come after this amazing platform is going to happen. But in this moment, you just want to focus on your breath and where you are now. And the intention I wanted to focus on today is I am worthy of great, long-lasting and nourishing love. So that's helpful whether you're alone or whether you're in a relationship or wherever you're at. And just let that sit with you. The thing about tapping is that if it doesn't resonate with you, you'll feel a response in your body, or you'll hear that little negative voice in the back of your mind telling you otherwise. And what you want to do is you just want to notice where that might be. I also forgot to tell you that EFT is a modality that can help you with anything, your emotions, your thoughts, and your health. So that's why I want to tell as many people about it as possible. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start on your karate chop. That's the side of your hand, and it can be any hand. And repeat after me. Even though I am on a journey with love, I'm deciding today that I'm worthy of something great. Even though I may not have it now, I love and I completely accept myself anyway. Today, I've woken up with a great love within myself, for myself today. My goodness, whilst you're thinking of that, how is that sitting with you? If you could put in the chat box on a scale of 1 to 10, how that sits with you. Are you feeling resistance? So that would be closer to a 10, or are you feeling okay about it? So you're probably closer to the 0. How, if you could pop in the chat box so we can see if you experience any shifts. You're probably all feeling calm now. That's the problem. Once you start tapping, your body starts to relax. But what I like about this is it's so safe, it's fun, and it's self-soothing. So even though now I'm feeling a bit silly because I've just told you in the wrong order, so this amazing platform, and we are learning how to appreciate and love ourselves more. And even if it doesn't go exactly how I planned it, I know it's going to be okay. Today, with the love of the people on this platform, we are waking up a great love within us today. I'm going to move to the top of my head, and if I'd like you to follow. Where I am today in my love journey, I accept today. So, eyebrow point, today it might be a great place to be, or I might be waking up to. It's not exactly where I'd like to be. In the past, I may have had some ups and downs. Under the eye, it may not be where I want to be. But today I'm giving myself permission to claim and declare more. Under the chin, today I'm declaring that I'm worthy of a great love. Collarbone point, today I refuse to settle. Under your arm, so by your bra part, ladies, I refuse to listen to old stories and lies. Wrist point, today I'm deciding that I am worthy of the absolute best. Today, I'm deciding I am worthy of a long-lasting and nourishing love. And if we stop there and pop your hand on your heart, just take a moment and think about how that's sitting with you, and declare, I am worthy of a great, deep, long and nourishing love, whether that's with myself or from others. But when I know the love that I need for myself, I can expect to share and receive from others. And if we stop there for the moment. Thank you for letting me take you through that. It was a bit short, but I'm thinking of time. But the main thing is I want everybody to know that there are many, many ways to find the thing that you're looking for, but it all starts with you, as the ladies and gentlemen of the panel had said. That was my biggest learning last year. And it's funny, I don't know if it's when you start hitting midlife, when you start turning 40, you start thinking, hello, there's got to be more than this. There's got to be, there has to be more. I was born to do and give more. And I think this is a way for you to tap into what that is for you. And once you're comfortable and you're able to articulate, communicate, and I'm going to have to steal it, Duchess, intimacy. I think that is so key, because when you're able to stop and allow those things that you don't say, the things that you truly desire to come up, and then you can encourage the courage to express them, then you can communicate and impact the people around you. In my situation, being stuck at home, my husband being under the threat of redundancy, not being allowed to go out, having children, there was just lots of things going on. And I got to the point where, boy, this is, it's make or break. And after investing so much time, as you say, sometimes, you get to these points in your relationships and you really have to look at yourself and really question, what do I want? I can't keep putting and doing for everybody else. I have to start with myself, and then from there I can continue to give to others. And so my mission at the moment, so the method that I have learned is called the, sorry, I can't get the words out. It's called the McDonald manifestation methods. And what I like about it is it's an easy technique. You can do it with yourself on your own, or you can do it with a coach. And one of the things that my intention with this is to be a person of color. Because when you go on YouTube and you think, oh, well, I can just do this on my own, you will go onto YouTube and you will find people who are doing it. But it's all about the style, and it's all about the connection. And so for me, the goal is to get feel public speaking, of being seen and being heard, and to bring this method to others so that they can self-heal. Because in me helping myself, in me being true to who I am, I've been able to change the relationship I have with my husband. I've been able to change the way that I engage with my children, and I've been able to show up better at work. And as being somebody who had depression, but I didn't know I had depression because I didn't have the normal symptoms, I know that for those years that I had it, I wasn't showing up in my best power. And it felt very lonely at times, and I didn't treat my body well. And, you know, I think as Hugh had mentioned, everybody goes through their trauma. We all have generational trauma. We all have stuff that we deal with from society, and it just layers and it layers and it layers. But this is, if nothing else today, please look up EFT, because it's a simple way for you to release some of those traumas and just to get your power back, to learn how to love yourself first, how to communicate your needs, how to be there for others, and just show up better. And that's the mission that my teacher has is on, to get a modality into the hands and hearts and homes of people all around the world. And luckily for me, because I said yes to myself last year, I'm the first person in the UK to be certified with this method. And so while I'm going to run with it. If anybody would like to find out more about it, thank you. I'd like to invite you to reach out and connect, and I'm happy to share my story. My gift is to listen and to.
Your internet connection is breaking up, Natasha.
It's one of the things I think, as a lot of strong women, we hold space for everyone. Pardon?
I'm just saying your internet connection is.
I can't hear. I hope my.
You've been muted.
Oh.
Your internet connection is breaking up, but thank you very much for your presentation and to introducing us all, because I've never heard of tapping before, and just tapping those, you know, pressure points here and just doing it felt good. It felt good. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
My job.
Beautiful. So now I'm going to move across now to, because I'm mindful of time as well, I'm going to move across now to my wonderful co-host Nadia from the Black Help Organisation. Are you there, my darling? Have you got a couple of questions or particular themes that have come up in the chat?
No, that it's just everyone wanting the panel's contact details. Everyone wants that. There aren't any direct questions other than just people making statements to each other. So I think you should open up the floor and let's have that discussion.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, this is the point, we're at the point now where guests on the platform can ask questions. So if you could put your hand up, please, I will come to you and you can ask one of our fantastic panelists any questions. Has anybody got their hands up? Let me just have a quick look. Nobody wants to ask a question? And you can ask anything on relationships. Come on, we're talking about love, sex, and relationships. This is an opportunity to, you know, we've got, yes, we have a question. Ed F. Good morning, Ed F. If you could please put your camera on so we can see who we're speaking to. Welcome. And where are you actually coming in from, Ed? Hello.
Hi. Right. So I'm. Can you hear me? Hi.
I can hear, but
I'm from London. But
is your camera on? I can't see.
There's a slight delay. Ed, just talk. There's a slight delay.
Okay. All right. So my question is really to everyone who's spoken. Yeah. In terms of.
Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from London.
Okay.
From London.
Welcome.
But what I wanted to ask each speaker is about affirmations. Yeah. What would be the affirmations they would say to themselves in the morning, and would they reflect back at the end of the day?
Thank you, Ed. So who would like to go first? Yvonne, Duchess, Hugh? If you're probably muted.
I'm happy to go first.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ed, for that question. For me, I actually have a specific 24-minute meditation video that I actually listen to every morning whilst I'm having a shower, and I repeat it. And what it actually, and I don't have, so I have to take it for the whole dressing up situation, but what it is about reminding myself that I am amazing, I'm enough, I know who I am, and I don't apologize for it, and that not everyone is for me, and I'm not for everybody, but even at that, I am still amazing. And then all the other things that I want in life, the positive, that's how I am. And that's why I embrace calling myself Duchess. So when you come to me, you already know who I am. That's me. And at the end of the day, I'm like, are my kids still talking to me? Are they still smiling? Did I do at least half of what was on my list? If I did, then I'm good. Okay.
That's wonderful. Thank you, my darling. Yvonne, would you like to chip in there? Hugh, would you like to chip in there?
Yeah, I mean, I can, my affirmations on a daily basis are things like, I am powerful. I remember saying that last week on here, I am powerful. And I always separate the word, because I am full of power as a queen. I am worthy. I am enough. I own my life. I own my day. And as I go, everything that I need will come to me. Those are the types of things that I say to myself every day. But I also do some other types of affirmation. I thank myself for doing things. I forgive myself, and I commit to doing something. So there's a ritual that I do every day. And I started doing this way, way, way back when I was really, really low and broken. And it's something that has built me up now. So, it doesn't matter what anybody says. I'm in a business. It is, I am full of power. That's it. It's, I'm unapologetic. That's how I see it, and that's how we have to be. But when we start off with affirmations, sometimes we don't actually believe what we're saying, and that's okay. And then you just work it and work it and work it and start to notice things changing, and then that power will start to manifest. It's like a seed that you have. You put the seed in the ground, you don't see it at first, you water, and then all of a sudden it shoots up. And that's what affirmations can do and will do, if you just be persistent with it and then start to believe in what you're saying.
Thank you. Hugh?
Yeah, my affirmation is more about saying that I say this to myself every day, if I'm going to succeed in life, be prepared to fail, and essentially not to give up until I get what I want, until I get what I desire. In the evening, if I made it home safe, then I say God is great, and I hope I get a chance to do it again. But I'm very much into visualization and mental rehearsal. So it's very much about with the things that I'm trying to accomplish, be that whether it's personal or professional, it's about actually visually rehearsing it in your mind and seeing it in your mind's eye first. Because once you're able to visualize it, then you can turn that thought, crystallize it into real action. And the last point I'll make on this is that, essentially, we are like creatures of habit. So it's about allowing yourself to imagine that emotion that you would feel on accomplishing your goals. Actually try and embrace that emotion now. Feel good before you actually accomplish it. It'll make the journey much easier.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that. Natasha, would you have a point to make on that?
No, I agree with what everybody has said. And I think, again, it ties in with the tapping, the affirmations, the words that you speak to yourself. They need to be, words are powerful, so they need to be the right words. And you watch your reaction to your words from your body, and then self-inquiry. Why do I not feel this? What could I do differently? And just be open and curious. I think be open and curious. And I think have it set in the intention is part of the process anyway. Your brain will already start looking for evidence of what you're looking for, and it just works that way. But no, I think affirmations are powerful when you don't when you say it and you don't believe it, question that. What is it that you're thinking that's making you not believe it? And look for evidence to the contrary is a way to
Thank you for that. Thank you, my darling. And Duchess, please share that. Is it a video you said you listened to, or something on, is it something on YouTube? Please share, because I'm always looking. And I mean, I myself, you know, just to get, you know, it's kind of like pumped up and ready for doing these Zoom sessions, but I do it every day. I say to myself, and words, you have to speak it into yourself. And it's like, in a way, you've got to keep watering yourself, you know, put the positivity into you so you can go out and do great works. So thank you very much for that. We've got Leon Henry, he's got his hand up. Hi, Leon, if you could say hi to the guests on the platform, to our presenters, you know, say who you are, where you're calling in from. Just wait for you. You're properly muted, Leon. And
morning,
of course,
Queen.
please. Good morning, Leon. There you are. Hello. Good morning.
It's a pleasure and honor to be on your wonderful platform with most delighted people. I would just want to say good morning to everybody and happy Valentine's to everybody. It doesn't have to be about just a single person. But my question is, I won't be long. How does really one build new relationships with the previous partner when communication is breaking down? Can anybody answer that?
So say the question again. How do you build relationships with the previous partner?
Correct. The previous partner, when he was married or the next stage. Yeah, how do you build that back up again? And where we can communicate, where we can help the children, because relationships is breaking down because of those things.
Okay, that's an interesting one. So who would like to take that then? Duchess, would you like to kick off again?
Okay. Hi, Leanne. Thank you very much for that question. And I'm happy that you gave more context. My suggestion to you is take time to understand what is the reason that you're unable to communicate. Do you know what it is? And that means going through, because it's obvious that you have kids together, what is triggering you and her? You need to have an understanding of what that is. It's just because if you don't have the clarity, then it's easier to work through it. So also I would say to you is ask her the question and say, what is it? What is it that I can do for us to be able to raise our kids in a manner that works for them? It's not about us, it's about them. And we need to put the children first. But you have to ask the question. If she's not talking to you at all, then that's a whole different ballgame. So can I ask, are you speaking and it's just that the communication is not effective? Have I lost him?
Leon, can you answer that?
Muted. He's muted.
Oh, he's muted.
Oh, okay.
Wait. There you go. That's the key. It's not bypassing blame here. As I said, communicate when somebody doesn't want to talk. So we've got a one-sided story here. Now you hit on it in the head here. Both people have to communicate. You can't talk to a wall or somebody who want to talk. But continue. Yes, what is your hypothesis?
The truth is, you can't make another person do what they don't want to do. That's the truth. And sometimes you have to reach that acceptance. So what you then have to realize that anything you say to her, you then make a conscious decision yourself in order to have that conversation about your children, is to keep it about your children. Don't even ask her questions that would mean she has to respond to you, because that's going to piss her off. And just give her the information and say, this is for the children, in order for the children to have what they need, and keep it like that. So you don't, at least, even if you're not getting a two-way conversation, you're not having arguments that affect the kids. That's what I'll suggest.
Thank you, my darling. Yvonne?
Well, I think going through a similar situation, and now out of that situation in terms of having a partner where the two of us were at loggerheads, because very often when it comes to things like that, both parties think they're right. And that's the stumbling block. And I think that the most effective way for this to be overcome is forgiveness. In a nutshell, many things happen in relationships and relationships break down. But forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools that we have. We don't use it very often because we want to be right all the time. The children should be here, or my way of parenting is better than yours, whatever, without saying. So I've written down here forgiveness and communication in communication that forgiveness and communicate that in action. So it's one thing to say you're sorry, but it's another thing to act like you're sorry. And so one of those, and again, we get into our ego, we get into loads of different things, and we just have to be honest. Honesty is the best policy, and we have to get to a place where we look at ourselves in the mirror and say, this is what I have done wrong. It's not always outside of ourselves that the problem is. Sometimes we ourselves, and I'm not saying this about anybody in here, but sometimes we ourselves are the problem. And because we don't have that relationship with ourselves, we can't see it. So we become ignorant, we become arrogant, and it's just always loggerheads. If you need a mediator, if you're at the place where you can't talk, get a mediator, because if this is about children, the only people who are suffering are the children. So you have to get out of the way of that. And I think we see so many broken families, especially within our community, and it's time now that we start taking responsibility, start forgiving each other, and moving forward to help our children coming up into the future. Otherwise, it's just going to be the same thing over and over again, and our children will do the same thing, and their children will do the same thing, and we will never grow, and we will never get past this. So my thing is forgiveness, bottom line. And that's what I had to do, regardless of what he did, how he treated me, and all of those things that go, well, he did this and he did that and he did the other. It's irrelevant. That's past. It's about the future, and the future is our children, and that future should be bright, as Orange used to say. It should be bright. That's me.
Fantastic, thank you, Hugh. From a man's,
I don't know if I can add to that. I mean, after Yvonne said the future is bright, I mean, it is. That's the fruit. That is the absolute fruit of the relationship. Is the children. I think just to add on though is the forgiveness for self as well.
Yes.
We mess up, we make mistakes, we're human. We own our mistakes that we made in a relationship, and we can forgive ourselves for that. And that might help our communication, because sometimes we carry stuff unconsciously, unresolved stuff, and we're kind of weaponizing maybe in our language, or we're not aware of it. So it's good that we just, forgive the other person, but also forgive ourselves, and just try and start with a clean sheet. And what do they say? All you can do is come in good faith.
Ever so true. Thank you very, very much for that, Hugh. Powerful messages this morning, powerful. Right, are there any more questions? Would anybody else like to ask a question? If not, I'm going to wrap the session up. So there was somebody, but their hand has gone down. Let me just have a quick look. Any more questions? Anybody else would like to ask? Any questions in the chat, Nadia?
There's a couple. I've directed them to Joe and Natasha if they could respond, because those people just want to hear a response from that. Okay.
Okay, right. I've got Niusa. I'll lower your hand. Niusa, have you got a question for us? If you could say good morning to us on the platform, say who you are, where you're calling in from, and please have your camera on, because we don't really like talking to a black screen.
I've had to put my camera on because I'm actually doing my hair. As you see, I'm a black woman, so my hair needs to be done. So here I am, showing up as myself.
Keeping it real.
So I just wanted to, it's more of like, I'm a coach as well. I'm a transformation coach, and I know Yvonne, and I know Natasha.
Are you in London?
I am from London, yes, East London. And even though I work with women in terms of helping them with self-love, there were some issues I was struggling with probably last year with my relationship. And although I was able to help other people with self-love and I was helping myself, the problem with me was forgiveness. And I'm glad that my question has come up now, is that I worked with Natasha, I just had one session, and I really didn't know what it was that I needed to heal. And again, I tried EFT a very long time ago with a white lady and a white man, but it just didn't seem to work for me. But when I did it with Natasha, I realized that the reason why my relationship was not working was because I wasn't forgiving myself for allowing a situation to have occurred. which I thought I'd already dealt with, but again, it was something from the past. So what I wanted to say was that sometimes we try all these different ways of healing, whether it's talking to a coach, but for me, it was like the tapping is what I needed to discover my self-worth and get my power back. And also a combination of hearing Yvonne as well. She does an inspirational morning. Again, one of the things that she kept saying a lot was, what superpower are you not using? And I was using my voice to help others, but I wasn't using my voice to help myself. When I used my voice and I did the tapping with forgiveness, literally my self-worth increased to the level where I was like, ended the relationship, realized that, you know what, I need to work on myself, continue to work on myself, and I continue to work on myself and my relationship with God. My relationship came back, and now I've got everything that I've wanted in my relationship. So, you know, one of the things was my partner wasn't open to marriage because he'd been married before. Now I'm hearing him talking about it. So for me, it's like I discovered my self-worth, I used my power, and I worked on forgiveness of myself, because then I realized there were areas that I wasn't forgiving him. Also, to back up what the last person asked the question, a past relationship as well. I've got an 18-year-old and I've got her dad that we don't speak to each other. However, there were still certain areas in my life where I wasn't forgiving him. So I was holding on to certain things. And it was something as small as, not small, but money. Why am I not receiving more money? Am I still living in a lack situation? Again, because I had debts with my ex from the past, there was still a level of blaming him for my debts. I worked on it, I healed with it, and I moved forward. So for me, it was like, it's always coming down to forgiveness. So not necessarily the other person, but forgiving myself. Because once I was able to forgive myself, I was then able to forgive them without even talking to them. My ex-partner and I still don't talk, but my relationship with myself and my daughter is just amazing now. So that's what I wanted to add.
Oh, thank you very much for that, my darling. And your hair looks good.
Thank you.
Thank you. There was a question from Althea, so I'm not sure if she wants to go ahead and ask her a question. Did you want to go ahead and ask a question?
Hi, good morning, Joan, and the panel and those who are talking.
You want to put your camera on so we can see who we're speaking
I'm
to?
a hairdo thing as well. Hairdo. Hairdo.
It doesn't matter. You keep it real.
So my question was really, where is this relationship video going to be held? That's number one. And then number two, some real fantastic healers of relationships today and hearts online. And I'd like to say thank you. Very, very good. But I missed the first two speakers, which it sounds so relative because the talks today are, as I said, they're brilliant. So where would I find the recordings, Joan?
Right, so the recording of this session and all the past Zoom sessions are going to be uploaded to the YouTube channel. So it's the Queen's 2020 lockdown series.
All right, is it have you put it in the chat?
It's in the chat, yeah. And if you follow us on Eventbrite, Queen's Walking Group.
Yeah, I've got this address, but I haven't got the Queen's 2020, the YouTube channel. What channel was that?
It's Queen's 2020 lockdown series.
Okay, all right. Thanks everyone, and the speakers are just brilliant again. And sorry about my hairdo.
You look fabulous.
You look lovely.
And you know what as well?
What,
do you know I've got to change attitude in that. I know I have to build on it more, but in that short while, because you know I was around toxicity, getting quite aggressive, losing who I was, my own self-identity. And it's funny, just hearing the guys, it's just, it's so easy when you can get to a certain stage in life and go through so much that the pain or trauma or whatever difficulties you go through, it does scar and it can change who you really are. And just a few minutes, you know, hearing from the guys, loving myself, you don't know what that has done So self-identity and grabbing that back is so important. And that's one thing I got from most of the speakers. So sorry, I've forgotten it already. Can you just put in the chat, not the walking one, I've got that one, but the 2020 again. So sorry.
Okay, I'll get Rudy if you can put that in the chat for us. Thank
Appreciate that, guys.
You're very, very welcome. And that's why, you know, it's about having a platform like this. It's for us, by us, so we can tap into, because we will be more receptive to particular kinds of therapies or advice when it's delivered by people who look like us, basically, you know. So that's one of the main driving reasons for having this platform, as well as keeping my wonderful queens in my walking group engaged, because we would normally be up now walking somewhere in Southeast London, doing our exercises or doing our line dancing. So, but those days will come back. I've got another question here from Nell Sonic. You've got your hand up, Nell Sonic. Hello, good morning. You could put your camera on and let us know where you're calling in from, and please ask your question. Nell Sonic, are you there? Are you probably trying to unmute yourself? If you unmute yourself, my darling. Or Rudy.
Okay. Hi. Good morning, everybody.
How are you,
fantastic. I'm Nell Sonic. I forgot to change my name. Oh no, I did put Sonia TR on, but I had to rush out. I'm going to meet my daughter to get my hair done. Make me feel good. This question is for Natasha. I've heard about tapping, but that minute or so experience I had this morning, I tell you what, that was an immediate reaction.
She's muted. She's muted.
Muted? Oh, what happened there? Can you unmute her? Oh, what's happened there?
Maybe she's lost reception.
There you go. She's unmuted.
You're back.
I'm having problems. Hi. You know that exercise you did?
Yeah.
Is it possible to have that ritual? I think I'd love to do it, you know, morning or the evening, whichever the best time.
Let me take your details down and I'll send you something. It's something, you know what, it works even better when you're talking about something specific to you. So maybe we'll have a session, we'll have a little session and we'll figure out something for you. Then you can record it or you can video it and you've got it just as something that you can reach to in the moments, you know what I mean? So it's fantastic. I really appreciate it.
Oh no, I
really don't put your details out over this, because it's being recorded to go up onto YouTube. So if Sonia, contact me and I'll pass details on, and Natasha, I'll pass your details on to Sonia.
Okay then.
Yeah. What is being out on
you
YouTube?
Know, I mean, all the guests did something for me. You know, I'm a married woman. You know, I have my moments. I've gone through my moments. However, you know what? I've learned a lot on how I probably can improve. Not probably, can improve what I've got going at the moment. It's been 28 years. It still needs work. Do you know what I mean? We've gone down a little, but no, I've thoroughly enjoyed every one of the participants on the platform today. But Natasha, I would like that affirmation. So okay, then I'll bring it. I'll put it on to you, Joan. Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Wonderful. Thank you. Right, we're probably going to be winding up now, so this is an opportunity. Nadia, my darling, any questions in the chat?
Right, there was 2 questions, and what I did, I directed them direct to one. I think you've got 2 questions, Joe.
Right, Joe.
So Joe's got 2 questions, and Natasha has 1.
Okay, do you want to share them,
from
guys?
Me, but it's from the audience.
Okay, then we'll wind up. So Joe, do you want to come on the platform and just answer those questions so we can all hear the response? And Natasha, if you've seen, have you got your question there? And then you can share it with all of us on the
Not
platform.
so much a question, it's more of a concept of the 2 people's contact details. So
right, it's not a question. Okay, all right, that's no problem, my darling. Thank you.
Hi, Joe. Don't share the contact. It's too private.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Joe, have you got any? What were the questions that were asked in the chat? If you could share that with us.
They were direct.
No, Joe.
I think they were private.
Oh, they're private. Okay, no problem. I thought they were general. Not a problem.
They wanted it. They didn't want to say it aloud. They wanted me to ask you the questions, Joe, for you to answer it.
Yeah, I've messaged one. I can't see the other question though, but maybe I don't know if you could send it to me again.
Okay. So one was on, I can't even pronounce the word. I don't know.
Yeah, I've responded to that one. What's the other one?
Okay, and the other one was around oh gosh, I'm trying to find it now. What I sent to you?
Fibromyalgia.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
I think
so basically, what can it do? Your program, what can it do for them?
Fibromyalgia is about nerve pathways and it affects movement as far as muscle and bone joints. The intermittent fasting has a lot of great benefits about that because it raises certain hormones like human growth hormones, which repair tissue damage and repair nervous cells. So it's about allowing the body to sync with nature and it will heal from that point. When you're intermittent fasting or fasting in general, you're on nature's operating table. So it's about just learning to get out the way is really the format of intermittent fasting, is letting nature do what it does. We are never smarter than nature. We are a product of nature. So our program is really designed to allow your body to synchronize with nature, because that is the place where true healing lies biologically. So I think the program will be very powerful for you because the information you will get and the support and the nutritional advice you will get will help you very much so to affect your dietary requirements, because it depends on allergies, conditions, and a few other things. But yes, it's a great place to come to and actually heal from. So yeah, it will help you very much so.
And what's the other question around diverticulitis? Was that the word you were trying to say, Natasha?
Yeah, diverticulitis. Yeah.
So what was the question? Because you could just generalize on this. There could be other people who have the same condition.
Well, diverticulitis is just like when you have like marble-like bulges in your colon, and it's like inflammation on the colon wall, and it could be very painful for a lot of people. Sometimes it comes as a stomach cramp because people have cramps in general. It could be people don't really pick up on it, but
the fasting, but intermittent fasting.
But intermittent fasting can really help because anything to do with gut health. Remember, gut health is where 99% of a lot of chronic diseases start, and gut health is also mental health. So your mental health rests on how healthy your gut is. Your gut is your second brain. So when there's a problem in the gut, it would affect you psychologically, emotionally. It would have some impact on that. So really and truly, at that point, it depends. I can't generalize it because it depends on people's condition. It depends on if they're allergic to things, how their body reacts. But just generally speaking, it is an inflammation in the colon wall, and it can be solved by reducing the amount of dairy and fiber that you put into your system and leaning on more veggies and greens. People of color, our natural dietary state is veg and fruit. That is your natural genetic state for feeding. It is because of the assimilation of the Western diet that we have moved away from that, and we have adapted through epigenetics. But your nature will denote that greens, fruits and grains is more palatable for your overall health. And that's what our ancestors ate majority of. Everything else kind of came after due to other complicated reasons. But yeah, at that point, you just want to avoid foods that cause more inflammation and move into more alkalized food.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Joe. And Leslie, you've asked a question in the chat. So do you want to quickly come on? This will be the last question because nobody else has got their hand up, have they? Let's double check that. Nobody else wants to ask a question. So Leslie, do you want to unmute yourself and ask a quick question in regards to, you say, can Natasha share something a bit generic as we all keep asking on chat? So I don't know if you wanted to quickly ask that question. If not, I'm going to ask my presenters to.
Joan, can I just ask Joe a question quickly?
Yeah, of course.
My question is, my stomach rumbles very loudly and embarrassingly. You know, I'm just going to put it out there. So yeah, it's very loud and sometimes can be very embarrassing. So I wanted to know about the intermittent fasting. I've done it before, but I've done it around weight loss, right? But I want to know if there is something that I could do to kind of eliminate that, because I could have just eaten, and it's just and it's really loud, really loud.
No.
So.
And it does happen, and it can be embarrassing if it happens in public as well. Like, I totally understand. It just catches you off guard, and you can't stop it.
No.
So what happens is, the key part is that you just ate. your gut has a self-cleaning mechanism, right? It's called a migrating motor complex. So what happens is you have what they call SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. You have microbes that grow out of control, right? And there's a lot of undigested material in the small intestine that should not be there because it causes things called phytic acid. It stops nutrients being absorbed. So that migrating motor complex is your gut cleaning itself. It's taking away from the small intestine and into the colon so you can excrete it. So it's not something we can really control. It's something your mechanism that your gut does. But it's because the foods you may be eating might be causing too much inflammation, because there's a lot of inflammation food, you know, and culturally, you know, there's cultural food that we've adapted now that's not indigenous food, right? So I'm from West Africa, so things like pounded yam, fufu, all these things are massive cultural dishes with symbolic meanings, but health-wise, they cause so much diabetes and so much blood pressure and problems and so forth. So your gut is really just doing a migrator motoring complex. It's just moving debris away from the small intestines into the big intestines. So depending on your body's constitution, things like green tea or peppermint tea can ease the loudness of the growling, but for the most part, it's something that's natural. It just needs to happen. It's just your gut keeping you healthy in that kind of sense. But if you're tired of it embarrassing you in public, have more greens and more fruits into your diet, and then that will kind of make the remember, it's like if you got lots of things, when you hoover something, it can be loud, right? But if there's not much to do, it won't last long. So it depends on how much you're eating in the day, what you're actually eating, and all of that kind of stuff. But it's a migrating motor complex. It's just moving stuff along so you don't get clogged up. That's really what's happening.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Wonderful.
Hi, John, 1 minute. Leslie, if you put your camera on, I will be able to see you to unmute you. Thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Come on. Are you going to come on, Leslie?
You mean?
Right, yes, we can see you.
Oh, hi, morning. Natasha, I just dropped you, I'm hounding you down. The little routine that you done earlier.
Yeah.
Is that a specific routine that has to be done? And if so, where would we find that routine written down? Because I didn't take any notes, so I can't remember if you said head. Is it literally you're going down the face, or
No,
so it's easy for you to demonstrate?
Side of your hand, the karate chop point.
Natasha, have you got it written down anywhere, or do we just need to make our own note?
No, I can send it to you. I'll send something to Joan. Shall I?
Yeah.
Put my details in the chat box. It's natasha@gmail.com.
Okay, then.
I can get that sorted out for you.
All right, that's wonderful.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
It's been fantastic.
Thanks. I'm coming off now in my polo neck jumper.
Presenters, all and guests on the platform, all good things must come to an end. So presenters, could I ask you to say your fond farewell? So Yvonne, would you like to kick off?
Yes, thank you guys so much for having me again. It's brilliant as always. And just to say, do you know what? I just want to say, remember that death and life is in the power of your tongue. Yeah, so what you say has power. So be conscious of that throughout this week, throughout however you go on. Be conscious of the words that you say to yourself when you are with yourself, especially when you're by yourself. Be conscious, death and life. So speak life to yourself and have a great weekend. Have a great week and stay blessed, stay safe.
Fantastic. Hugh?
Yes, stay for the duration. It's been a pleasure. I learned by the questions and the conversation so much. If you want to find out a bit more about myself, you can check out my YouTube channel, Hugh Mayers TV, and my series, It Takes Two, where we chop up and go even deeper on the relationship stuff. And self-awareness is key. So whatever you do, just take care of yourselves.
Fantastic. Natasha, what's your parting farewell message to the guests on the platform, my darling?
I just want to say, when you say yes to yourself, you follow the instructions and the words of this channel, God makes things move. I tell you, he really does. I am so blessed to be in the presence of you guys today. I've learned stuff from the other presenters. Your questions informs us. And I believe when we show up different, when we ask questions, when we share what we have, it has a ripple effect and we're able to change the world. And God knows it needs changing. So So no, just thank you so much, Joan. As I said to you when I first spoke to you that night, and we was on the phone rambling for ages, what you're doing is absolutely phenomenal. And how many lives you can change by just showing up, learning, being open, being curious. You know what I mean? Steve Jobs said, think different. I said, feel different. Tap your way in to find your way out, because it's all there. It's all within you. So whatever you're doing next this weekend, stay blessed.
Yeah.
And be awesome, because you were born that way, designed that way. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Natasha. Beautiful. Duchess?
Yes, just to say thank you as the newbie, the virgin, who's no longer a virgin. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's listened to me, who's gained something from it. And what I'd like to say is, please, please, please don't underestimate the importance of intimacy in all your relationships, every single one of them. Be intentional, be self-aware, and most importantly, please, please self-indulge in loving yourself and getting to know yourself, because you cannot give from empty. You need to fill yourself up and then fill others from your overflow. Take care and have a wonderful week. End.
Mr. Joe Dash?
Thank you.
Fasting?
Yes, definitely. Health is wealth is always my saying. Health is definitely wealth. If you know, and that's health mentally, that's health emotionally, that's health physically and spiritually, because you know all the things that these amazing speakers has taught me today, you know, rest on those things. If you're emotionally healthy, you would understand a lot of the reasons why you have to, you know, participate in that intimacy. If you're mentally healthy, you know, you think about things that really concern the other person and you, and make better choices. If you're healthy, you just make better choices. So I wish health on everybody. Let everybody live long. May you all live long, you know, healthy, joy, peaceful. You know, one thing my grandfather taught me was about, as a man gets older and as a woman gets older, they need to understand peace is everything. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Peace is everything. That is the fundamental. Everything in life, in the material realm, is manifested in peace, not in chaos. So health is wealth. Be healthy, you know, enjoy your quality of life, and most of all, keep learning and pushing yourself. So thank you again to the whole audience and all the speakers that's taught me a lot today. You know what I mean?
It's been powerful. Thank you all so much for being on the platform. And this is a weekend of love. So people, guests on the platform, be happy, love yourself, love each other, you know, and our health is our wealth. And just a quick reminder to hear about Future Queens Walking Group, exciting Zoom events. Please follow us on Eventbrite. This Zoom has been recorded and it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel, Queens 2020 Lockdown Series. And it's just time for me to love you all and say, have a fantastic Saturday and happy Valentine's to everybody. Bye, guys. Have a fantastic weekend. Take care. Love you all. I'm going to stop.